All right, let's do this. There we go. Oh, no. Oh!
Check for pulse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, bro. Yes.
Opposite 3-whip to table. Perfect landing. Come on! Oh, wow! Yes! It's time, my friends. You ever notice when somebody says something doesn't need an introduction, they then proceed to just give it this big introduction? That's probably what I'm about to do right now. You know what you're here for. You read the title of the video before you clicked on it, so you're just excited as I am because it's Slopestyle Day, kicking off the 2022 Crankworx World Tour. Right in the middle of the Tyrolean Alps, the beautiful city in the mountains known as Innsbruck, Austria, returning to this stellar slopestyle course that we've been privileged to witness progressive riding the past 5 years, returning 6 years in a row. And I can't think of a better place to kick off the 2022 World Tour. I'm gonna be your host today. My name's Cam McCall, and I got my good buddy right here, Alan Cook. He knows everything about bikes flying through the air, so we're gonna lean on his expertise because there's gonna be a lot of bikes flying through the air today, Alan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't be more stoked. We're out here, we're in Innsbruck, we're kicking off the season, it's slopestyle, the weather's perfect, the fans, there's thousands of people on the hill, it's gonna be a sick day. The wind socks are down, there's no excuses, everything's getting laid out today.
The fans are jacked for what we have in store for us today, but those of us who are fans of the tour, we're so excited because it's going to be a 4-stop tour this year. We're kicking things off right here in Austria, but then we're gonna shuffle things up a bit. We're gonna zip back over to North America, Whistler, British Columbia. Not only the birthplace of the Crankworx World Tour, the sport of slopestyle in general, but where we usually finish the tour. It's in the middle of the year this year. Then, new addition, down in Australia, Crankworx Cairns. That's gonna be a doozy. We're excited to bring it to a new destination. Then we'll wrap it up in Rotorua, New Zealand for the finals. But today, it's all about what you see on your screen right now. I'm getting giddy because the fans are starting to, you know, get those goosebumps, and they get so loud here because they know the action that goes down on this very course changes the history of this sport. Every year we return to Innsbruck, Austria. The course undergoing a couple minor modifications this year. You're looking at one right there. That's where the cannon log was. It's now a dirt-to-dirt step down. We're seeing a lot of crazy stuff on that. And then it goes into these classic hips. First one to the left, second one to the right, straight into the whale tail. Same whale tail we've had the last 5 years. A lot of stuff going down on that thing in practice. And then the final jump, usually the final jump, still gonna be the Showtime booter on the final straightaway, but one new addition after this jump is a quarter pipe, which will undoubtedly shake things up. You can listen to me talk about this course all day, or you can listen to the man himself who always gets this cloud reaching maximum decibel levels, Nicholi Rogatkin. For more information, let's listen to Nicholi.
Oh, didn't see you there. I was just admiring the view and its luscious curves and perfect edges. This course consists of 280 meters of lips and landings, wood and dirt. That's right, people, it's a work of art. This is the new and improved 2022 Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle course. Do you smell that? That's the smell of new features waiting to be tested. Let's get started with this big boy. We said see you later cannon log and hello step down. This new feature sits at approximately 9 meters or about 73 Red Bull cans, which seems appropriate as we are in the birthplace of Das Bull. Just like most humans, this slopestyle course has 2 hips as a foundation to its structure. The first hip has a 1.1 meter step up with a 7.7 meter gap. In other words, it's 275 Wiener Schnitzels up and 70 Viennese Apfelstrudel across. Delicious. Here's hip nummer 5. It's the same exact 7.7 meter gap, except the step up is a little shorter. It's only about 95 centimeters, which equals about 13 Erik Fedko bobbleheads. Now for one of my favorite features. This solid, massive wooden structure appropriately named a whale tail, not only because its resemblance to an actual whale tail, but because that's actually the only reason it's called a whale tail. The first part of this mighty whale tail has a 1.25 meter step up with a 4.4 meter gap. That's about 5 Sagatochten up and 20 Sagatochten distance. Now onto the right side of the whale tail. This is where things start to get a little crazy. This puppy has a 4.2 meter drop with a 7.5 meter gap. That's about 4 Austrian flags with a gap of almost 4 Arnolds. Get to the chopper! Here we are at the final feature of this epic course. Topping out at 3.6 meters tall and 10 meters wide, this stacks up against 4 Black Eagles and the wingspan of 8 Black Eagles. Now let's see who can fly high.
Give me as much Nicholi Rogatkin as you got. I will take it all.
Yeah, that was a great explanation, of course, putting into perspective how huge these jumps really are.
This shot you're seeing right here, Nicholi Rogatkin training, but also making time for the fans. Where else do you get this?
Nowhere else. No sport in the world can you come and watch the people that you see and aspire to be and then give them high fives after their runs. It's an amazing atmosphere we have here.
We're at a really interesting time in the progression of this sport right now where we're breaking records every time we hold an event. And so we've started to calculate some of these all-time statistics. We just saw Nicholi right there. The crowd knows him because he's got 5 Crankworx slopestyle wins to his name. You see Brett Rader right there with 7, but the GOAT, Brandon Semenuk, 11. It took him a lot of years to compile that many wins, but look at what we're seeing here, far right of your screen. Emil Johansson with 6 wins, and that sounds impressive enough, but when you think about the fact that those were 6 consecutive wins, this kid's on pace to just shatter these records, isn't he?
Yeah, Emil's got the longest streak in Crankworx history, killing it with those 6 in a row. It's going to be interesting to see, though. You know, I think it's a new season. You know, everybody's been training in the off season. They're coming in with their new bag of tricks. So, you know, there's no gimmies for Emil, that's for sure. He's going to be sending it and giving it everything he has.
You know, I said I can't get enough Nicholi Rogatkin, so I'm just going to keep throwing him at you. We had him as a part of our broadcast last night when Tomas Lemoine took the gold in speed and style. It was an amazing performance that Nicholi Rogatkin loved every minute of. Here's a nice little highlight of Nicholi's involvement in the broadcast. Check it out.
Wow, that's very impressive. Oh! Oh, I thought he was down. Wow. I was not expecting that. Oh, yes! Yes! Unbelievable moments. Oh, my, yes! Oh, my goodness, that was so sick. That was so sick.
Nicholi gets hyped when he finishes his runs, but he gets hyped for everybody out there, even in the competition that he's not competing in. Fun to have him around no matter what. And you know what? This is the guy that everybody's talking about right here. Emil Johansson. We talked about it earlier. 6 wins in a row. You got to be wondering where his head's at. So we interviewed him. Check it out.
What makes Innsbruck special is that it's the first event of the season. It's always a bit of butterflies in the stomach going here, you know, because you never know what other people have been working on. It's like sort of like a kid on Christmas. It's exciting to see what's been going on behind the scenes and seeing what riders stepped up their game and managed to get new stuff out of the way and maybe see new tricks. And yeah, it's just an exciting time.
Undoubtedly, all eyes will be on Emil Johansson here today to kick off the 2022 season. He'll be the last to drop, but we have 14 doing it today. Who's standing out on this list to you, Alan Cook?
Man, this is a heck of a list. Everyone's standing out to me. One of the guys that stand out here, Tomas Lemoine, he got in as the alternate. So unfortunately, we had one of the riders go down and wasn't able to compete. So Tom's here, he's ready to go and blasting that quarter pipe. That's one of the things I'm definitely going to be looking out for.
Couple riders with issues in practice. So Tomas Lemoine now added to the final list. Szymon Godziek also added to the final list. So we'll have 2 Godzieks in the finals. Either one of them can find themselves on the podium if they land their run. Then we just crank things up as we move forward. Really excited to see Griffin Paulson's world ranking increase to the point where he's on this second page here, the young Canadian climbing the ladder, and then we get the big names. Lemoine, Bringer, Fedko, Rogatkin, and then finishing things off with MJ himself. It's gonna be a day. It's gonna be a day. My hair's standing up. It always happens, it always happens. So, Alan and I will be calling the runs. We have a third member of our team who's hanging out with the judges. He's going to be able to eavesdrop and kind of find out what's going on through their minds as they're putting thoughts to paper on the scorecards. Greg, do you hear me? You got me down there in the judges' tower?
Yes, I do. How's it going up there?
It's going great, man. So I'm excited to have you there because sometimes we're waiting for those scores to come in and we're just kind of theorizing on what their decision-making process is like. But are you close enough to where you're actually going to be able to hear and relay to us?
Yeah, they're literally right next to me, and I think I'll be able to deliberate what they're trying to do on the scores and just basically explain it a little bit better to the crowd and have a better explanation for it.
Perfect, Greg. Thanks. We'll be coming to you many times throughout the broadcast. We'll talk to you in a bit. Greg Watts, a former winner of Red Bull Joyride. And when you're a competitor at the top level, your job is to try to get into the heads of the judges. So he's built a career on figuring out what they like, what they don't like, and trying to curate a run that will get the highest score possible. So we'll be shooting things back to Greg periodically, but we're getting closer by the minute to the kickoff of the 2022 Crankworx World Tour. 14 top riders in the world gonna take to this course with 8 features. We're gonna make history. Don't go away.
Pump up your tires for the bike content on Red Bull TV. And check out the best live events, feature films, and shows. Download the Red Bull TV app for free. And sign in to watch all of our content offline. Download the app now.
While preparing for this event, it's so much to take in, so many iconic moments. Let's relive just one of those moments now from 2017.
Here we go. Back this kid in a corner and then look out. Second feature of the course, front cork 1080, a double tail up down. He needs to stop this. Oh, a catch roll tail went straight to Fedko.
Rogatkin makes history here in Innsbruck.
You gotta be kidding me.
That just happened.
Oh, give me a high five. Oh, man.
Nicholi Rogatkin is your champion here at Crankworx Innsbruck.
Oh man, we're gonna be screaming, we're gonna be laughing today, and I can't wait to see what moments are going to make their ways into our history books. We're really close to dropping our first rider here. And as you see on our start list, first rider to drop will be the staple on the tour from Poland, Szymon Godziek, the older brother to Dawid Godziek, making it in off of the alternate list, a guy who has stood on the podium in the past. We saw him practicing so hard, we went, well, this is quite the work ethic for an alternate, and then we realized he was in. He got the word this morning. So expect him to come out swinging as our first rider of 14 in today's competition.
Yeah, you can see the focus there. It's never easy on your first run. Definitely get the butterflies, but first run of the event, you're gonna get the opportunity to set the tone for the rest of the riders.
Oh, look at this, he's dropping in. So great to have him back on tour. Szymon Godziek kicking off the show. Whoa!
Big nollie 3 off that drop, straight into a front flip no-hander. Got a little sketchy out of it, but able to maintain his speed. Big flip whip on the first hit. Going long, but keeping his speed. 450 tail whip right there.
Yes!
Up onto the whale tail, downside 3 whip. Bar spin flip out.
One last jump, Alan!
Superman C-grab backflip.
So much extension.
And a tuck no-hander on the quarter pipe. I almost forgot we had more coming.
I know. I want to talk about, like, the start of that run was so close to throwing it away. Look at this. He's got the free coaster. Come on. Alan, all through practice, we were watching him get upside down, put his hand on the seat, but we hadn't seen him extend it. We had a feeling that was coming off the final jump. This is one of my favorite riders out there. He has such a way of mixing BMX-inspired tricks with freestyle moto-inspired tricks. Look at this, the nollie 3, he almost slid out on that over-rotation.
Yeah, his back tire got a little loose on that, but he had his eyes forward looking at that next lip, focusing on that tuck no-hand and front flip, so perfect execution.
That's what happens when you're a guy who's been around the tour for a long time, especially when you've been off tour and you're able to climb your way back on. A little slide out like that could kind of throw you off your game, but he just put his eyes up and continued to focus on the task ahead.
Yeah, and the rest of this run going just absolutely flawless.
Look how low he is here on this bar to whip. He didn't have like a surplus of speed after the first hit, but yet he was still able to kind of get his ducks in a row and crank around that bar to tail whip.
That's one of the nice things about having those hips. If you're coming in a little slow, you can kind of cut short. And if you're coming in a little fast, you can kind of go long and make that jump a little bit bigger if you need to. Now you have him coming into this Showtime booter here with that huge, fully extended Superman C-grab back.
I mean, the judges have
a special spot in my heart.
Yeah, me too. I remember seeing you do that, and that's what made me want to do it. Back in your BMX X Games days, that's one of the best tricks. So when it comes to execution of that trick, you couldn't really get any more extension out of the Superman C-grab backflip. Greg, what are the judges saying down there?
Like the first rider, there's always a lot of nerves, and to see a clean run on the first time, it's called the anchor score. So the numbered score doesn't necessarily reflect that much right now. It's really placing is what the importance is, especially on first runs. They have to have room in between riders and stuff like that. So putting the first score just makes it easier for them to slot other people in.
Such a good point Greg brings up there is they call that the anchor score, and without that, it's hard to compare the level that people are going to be on today. So quite a high anchor score to start the day.
Is it a movie?
Look at that, only 17 points left to work with for 13 of the best riders in the world. Still going to drop 2 runs. So I like to see him getting rewarded for that, but Greg brings up a good point. It doesn't matter the number, it's all about the ranking, the order. That's what determines the World Tour overall points. And this is a rider who's got enough to find himself securely on the World Tour for the past couple of years. Alex Alanko, we saw him right here in Innsbruck as a rookie a couple of years ago. His first event was in New Zealand, but here he is, seeing if he can stay alive on this tour. Smooth Oppo 360 to start things off, Alan.
Bar spin front flip on that first big jump. It looked like maybe he was going for a no-hander. Let's see how he can keep the momentum going. Double truck that first hit. Straight into the twister. Gets it off, just a hair under-rotated.
The opposite cork 720, and as he went out of view from that camera angle, I kind of had a feeling he wasn't lined up to the landing.
Yeah, you could see his body was just a little bit in front of the bike, and the bike never quite caught up to him before he got to that landing.
So something we've seen in the past on this course is riders really use those 2 hips in the middle of the course to their advantage by throwing tricks one way and then immediately throwing them the other way. It's so much more tech than doing it on a straight 4-pack. The fact that not only their hips opposite directions. So Alanko absolutely going for the jugular there in run number 1. He'll have to get back up to the top and save it for run number 2 with all the pressure on.
Yeah, it was just a little easy slide out. No damage to the body or bike, so he'll definitely be back in that run too. Let's take a closer look at it.
How about this drone view? Yeah, under-rotated and almost too short. If he had a little bit more speed, he might have had a little bit more time to get that rotation. Look how twisted he is.
Yeah, see how far ahead of his bike in the rotation his head is? And then it kind of right there where he spots the landing, the bike is behind him a little bit, and he's not quite able to pull it all the way around right there.
You can just see how much more difficult it is to do a Cork 720 toward your front foot from that shot. Gotta love the camera angles we're getting today. Plenty of opportunities to relive that moment from the drone, from the Phantom. All right, back up to the start. This is one of the most recognizable mountain bikers in Europe right now, Lukas Knopf. Huge following, the 25-year-old German. You hear our on-site announcer right there. Say, check him out on YouTube. When I tell you people idolize this guy here in Europe, I'm definitely downplaying it. Huge following. He's been a staple on the tour for the past few years, maintaining points from season to season. Definitely with his eyes on the podium here today.
We're here in a perfect setting in Innsbruck for Lukas to take that action off of the screen and throw it out here right for these people here in live action. Let's see what he's got.
Oh, Lukas Knopf on course.
Big bar spin to tail with solid landing straight at the next obstacle. Big tuck no-hander.
Looking back.
Opposite.
That's a triple whip. Triple downside whip on the hip.
Oh, wow. Wow, Alan, that goes back to you talking about how the distances are different on these hips depending on whether you go inside or outside. He went real far outside. That was crazy. He like paused. He was going for something right off the lip, didn't get it, so decided to improvise and go for those bar spins in the 360.
Yeah, you can see when he comes off the lip, he kind of straightens his legs and hesitates just a second before he starts throwing the bars. I'm guessing he was having a little bit of a sense that he was coming up short before he actually landed. He looks to be okay health-wise, though. Front end's a little crooked. That's no worries. Straighten that out. Get back up there for the second run. It's a long walk back up to the top.
All right, let's relive this moment right here. Everything was looking great for Lukas Knopf.
So this downside triple whip, he looks to have it perfectly landed. Let's see from the other side here. And then he comes up here on this next jump.
See, look, he's thinking about throwing those bars right off the lip. He pauses and then gets them. 360 double bar spin, but when you go outside, the difference between landing over here and landing over here is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet. So alley-ooping on that spin put him too short on the landing. It's nice to see him slide out at least.
Yeah, that was a controlled crash there. It looked like he knew what he was doing the whole way down, but yeah, just went a little outside on that. I couldn't tell from the back angle if maybe he had any issues with catching that triple whip on the pedals, but it looked solid. I'm sure he'll be back strong for a second round.
So Lukas Knopf, I don't know, looks like got to straighten his stem, maybe a couple other mechanicals. So fortunately that took place on run number 1, not run number 2. So we'll see Lukas getting back up to the top of the course. A couple riders looking to maintain points here so they can secure their spot, continuing on the rest of this 4-stop tour. Alanko with a crash, Knopf with a crash. But one guy who showed up here as an alternate is Tom Isted. Found out this morning that he's riding the competition. He's been practicing. We talked to him earlier. He said he had low pressure when he's coming in as an alternate until that morning comes where they say you're in, and this has happened to him a couple times now.
Yeah, he's got to be used to it by now. Let's see what he's got. Big straight flip off the drop. Boom! Huge double flip straight into the turn.
Yes,
Tom. This is going to be huge. Big front flip on the first hit. Goes long, takes the pedal.
Oh, perfect.
Cork 7 is able to maintain his speed. This is going to be good, Cam.
Oh, yeah, no, he still got it.
3's up to the whale tail. Big no-handed backflip in. Let's see what he's got.
Showtime booter.
Superman backflip. Now watch.
Oh.
He's going higher than everybody in practice.
Watch this.
Blast on that quarter pipe. Yeah, you can hear him screaming. That was an amazing, solid first run for Tom.
He is so psyched right now to be on the alternate list and then to throw down a run full of bangers like that. What a feeling.
The bottom of the hill.
You can hear him just stoked to get to the bottom of the hill. Really, really solid run. A couple exciting moments, but he was able to manage those no problem and just keep on going down the course.
Well-rounded run, too. We got bangers like that double backflip right after the flat drop flip. The pull for a flat drop flip and the pull for a double backflip are both everything you can throw at it.
And to do a double flip on the first jump on the course.
Of the first two features, he'd already done 3 backflips and there's only 1 lip.
That's got to be a record.
And then this is how you do a cork 7. You see he's spinning towards his back foot here a little bit, just more control over the bike, pulling from the back of the bike compared to the extra difficulty we saw from Alex Alanko spinning toward that front foot. It was perfect. I believe he came up a little bit short on this next jump, didn't he?
Yeah, we're going to see it here. Coming up for the big 3-whip on the next hip.
His eyes were staring at the landing while he was about 90 degrees of rotation.
And you can see when he comes in, he gets a little bit of that deck, that safety case with that back tire, but he's able to correct by taking a couple of pedals and keep his run moving.
Takes a couple pedals.
And then that big Superman on the final booter and then sending it straight at the quarter pipe.
Thinking back, the couple runs that preceded Tom Isted's run here, we had 2 runs that didn't finish. And you know, little things like a slight tag and having to take a pedal before the whale tail, that might be docked if everybody's stomping their runs, but it's all weighed out compared to what everybody else is doing. So a top to bottom run puts him in second place with a 76.25 behind Szymon Godziek's 83. The time Isted looking good in run number 1 with 1 more opportunity to improve.
Yeah, you can hear Tommy says he's got that. He's going to clean it up. He's liking that score from the judges. He knows he's got a few spots where he can tighten it up and really increase that score without having to take much more risk.
So Greg Watts, I got a question for you. It's not very often we see a quarter pipe show up at the end of a slopestyle course, but when we have seen it in the past, it really can throw a wrench in the gears. How are the judges deciding to weigh out that quarter pipe as a feature on their judging scorecard?
Just talked to the judges, and it's not going to be scored as high as one of the main features on the course, but they're going to score it as a feature. And if you crash on it, it could hurt your run. If you do a real good trick, it could help your run a little bit. It's a bit of a tiebreaker, but with the amplitude that Tom just did, they're going to judge that really well. And also, if you clean a good trick on it, it's going to be bumping your score up for sure.
Thanks, Greg. So it sounds like it's not weighed as heavy as one of the main 7 features, but it will definitely come into play as a tiebreaker. And it's probably the only feature on the course where if you blast it high enough, like Tom just did, even if it's a straight air, it's still going to score high because blasting a quarter pipe like that is no easy task. So back up to the top of the course, the Italian ready to take to the Innsbruck slopestyle course. He's been here many, many times before in the past. The 28-year-old has tasted podiums. Never won a competition on the Crankworx World Tour. Still a lot to do on his hit list of accomplishments in his career. Great performance out here last year, so this is one of his favorite courses. And we're looking at this windsock right now, and you know, I thought a couple times about mentioning how flat the wind has been because that's been amazing, but then I decided, let's just not talk about it. So a little bit of air filling that sock right now, but not too bad compared to what we've seen in the past here where they have just gone to battle in gale force winds.
Yeah, it might have been on me. I might have mentioned it a couple of times. I was stoked to wake up and not have a big breeze, but I think, you know, the riders are going to be confident to get down the course the way it is right now. It's not too bad. So the Italian out of Monza, let's see what he can do on his first run.
Torquato Testa, last year's bronze medalist on course.
Another double backflip on that first big double. Gets a little sketchy, no problem there. Big no foot cam backflip on the step down.
Into the first hit, another cork 7.
Another cork 7 on the hit, perfectly landed.
Oh, come on.
Cork 7, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Cam, what's he got on this last mover?
On a heater. Maybe a Kashi? Yeah. Smooth cash roll.
Perfect cash roll.
One last feature to put an exclamation point on it. Tail whip, smooth to the pedals. Nice work for Torquato Testa. A lot to digest there.
Yeah, that was one of those runs where everything he did was perfect. I don't think the judges could really dock him for anything. Both tires down at the same time. Straight into the next feature, no worries, no sketching out, no tagging, it's amazing.
Out of all the perfect landings in that run, I think the one to me that feels the most important is that opposite cork 720. If the judges can't really tell and they have to think twice about which way is your regular, which way is your opposite, you're getting a high score. Here we go, take a look. He's a rider who spins naturally toward his back foot, so this is the opposite. And let's just see how smooth this landing is. You know what really proves that it was smooth is the fact that he had enough speed to do his regular version on the very next hit without having to, did he take it? He took one pedal, but luckily the berm was in the way, so you can't even really see it.
Yeah, awesome job doing those back-to-back opposite and then regular. That really proves how confident he is with that trick. To be able to do that back-to-back, there's so much spinning. And you know, you don't get dizzy necessarily, but to spin that much in 2 jumps is a lot.
Puts the bars in his lap, gets great extension with the arms and that backflip tuck no-hander, and then smooth Kashi. So we have essentially 3 720 variations in this run, and they're all distinctly different. It's gonna be a big score. Will it be enough to take Szymon Godziek out of the top spot? We're about to find out.
Yeah, there was so much in there, I almost forgot about the double flip.
I know, like
at the top.
A double flip, and we're like, oh yeah, that. Awaiting the score for Torquato Testa. The judges recognizing the fact that this could take the lead, so they're taking their time.
Always a good feeling to get that first run out of the way. Then it's just, it's fun after that.
I mean, having that in your back pocket. Here we go. The score to beat an 83. What will it be for Torquato Testa? Oh, an 87! Come on! We're not even halfway through the order in run number 1, and we're already seeing an 87. This is great.
You can see the Italian fans cheering him on. They definitely agree with that score, as do I. That was an amazing run.
Wow, so 4-point jump there between Szymon Godziek's run and Torquato Testa's. Szymon Godziek now bumped down to 2nd place. As we take a peek up top, Lukas Huppert, the youngster. Lukas Huppert's bringing new tricks this year. Looks like he's got some new sponsors lined up. But I saw him in practice tinkering with something that we saw him experiment with last year. You can see he's been hard at work the entire offseason getting ready for this moment right now. Kick off his 2022 season, his 4th season on the tour. He was such a strong rider when he was so young, and he just continues to build a whole lot more consistency out of him now, and so much technicality. Double truck to kick things off. Oh!
Double bar spin front flip. Slight hang up on that, but he's gonna make it through. Big tail whip down the step down, tail whip back flip.
Oh, come on.
Look at that, downside whip, back flip on the hit.
And it was an opposite whip too, I believe.
I love this view getting to fly down the course with the riders. He made a little mistake up high, so he's not gonna risk it. He's got his eyes set on a specific run, and one mistake is he's gonna shut it down and not really, he's got
some,
his
hand is cramped completely. No way, somebody get this man a banana. No way, I've never seen this in a slopestyle run before. I'll tell you what, it's hot out here today. These guys have been going hard since the crack of dawn this morning, practicing, and it wasn't the fact that he wanted to get back up and make it spotless. He literally had a mechanical issue with his body.
Yeah, it looked like maybe his forearm cramped up halfway down and he lost control of his fingers.
No way.
I mean, it's
still
hot
working
today,
on it.
but it's been a long week out here. These guys are sweating a ton. So, you know, you're gonna have to take nutrition and hydration into account to be able to be able to perform at your peak levels. Let's take a look at this.
All right, so his hand was working.
There.
He opened up his, that's why he didn't trick out, is because his hand was locked up. You imagine trying to do some kind of trick that involves your hand, like any bar spin variation, where you're not sure if it's gonna come off, or if it does come off, you're not sure if you're gonna be able to get it back on. Well, I'm glad to see that he pulled out of that run, because that could have been way worse. If you're a guitar player, his third finger is still completely folded into his palm, it looks like.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he looks a little confused down there. Maybe something else is going on more than a cramp. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot in Crankworx slopestyle competition, but I've never seen anything quite like that. I mean, what do you think? That run definitely had the technicality if he was able to continue down and you know, deliver on the Showtime booter like we saw him practicing in practice. He could have had an opportunity to beat that 87. Max Fredriksson right there. Unfortunately, he's one of the reasons why we took 2 from the alternate list into the finals. We'll talk more about that later, but right now we're back up to the top of the course for Paul Couderc, rocking the new Monster lid. Congratulations to him. 25 years of age, the French creator. This guy thinks very far outside the box. He can't even see the box in his rear view mirror with some of these crazy ideas he gets on his spare time, but he's also one of the top riders on the Crankworx Slopestyle World Tour. Paul Couderc on course.
Here we go with a straight backflip off the drop. Into another huge,
After seeing so many perfect double backflips, here's a reminder why the double backflip scores so high. Paul Couderc coming up short.
You could see him grabbing his sternum there. I hope he didn't get that stem in the sternum. That's one of the things that can happen, because when you're coming around on a backflip, you see the landing so late, and if you're just a little short or a little under-rotated, you don't get to see it coming, and you don't actually get to brace yourself. Sometimes that stem or bar can go straight into your sternum, and man, that hurts.
Well, you saw how quick the medical staff was to attend to Lukas Huppert when he had the finger cramp, and so, of course, we got a big medical staff on hand here. The rest of them will make their way over to Paul Couderc to take a peek, but we will now take a peek back at what happened. He got good pump, he got good pedals, he just boosted so high. Yeah, hang up, front tire, back tire, tap, tap, hang up. Oh, that's when, see how much notice he has that he's gonna crash? It's like split second when his eyeballs are in line with that landing.
Yeah, I wonder, you know, looking up at the top of the hill, the direction of that windsock, I wonder if wind is playing a factor on that first jump, because it's a slight headwind going into that jump.
Any wind that there is down there is directly headwind to that one jump. And the shame with that is that's the only jump that has a headwind right now. Obviously, it's a bit more complex when you've got a side wind for stability issues, but the speed affected so much when the air that you're trying to pierce through is coming right back at you.
That's also one of the advantages, you know, of being one of the higher ranked riders and going later in the run. You kind of get a little bit of heads up on certain things like that, course conditions, how the judges are judging. It is an advantage to be later in the rounds.
Yeah, you get to calculate, but also you may be dropping when it's windy, whereas some of the riders who dropped, like Godziek first run, it was calm as could be. So we saw Max Fredriksson there at the bottom of the course talking to Lukas Huppert. For more on why he's not in the competition right now, take a look at this.
Welcome back to the Slopestyle World Tour. Szymon Godziek, great run early on. Kommt noch zu meiner Left. Paul Couderc, der steht wieder. Es läuft. Und so wie ich den Mann kenne, der ist eine absolute Maschine. Der wird auch im zweiten auch wahrscheinlich noch mal.
Hey Max.
Hey.
Good to not see you out there. What's going on?
I suffered a bit of a crash in practice and hit my head, and yeah, it gave me a bit of a concussion, and yeah, now I'm here. I'm not supposed to ride when you hit your head like that, so.
Smart, Max. I mean, thinking back to before we knew what we know about concussions, everybody would have just like, hey, can you see straight? Just go for it. But what can you say about the medical staff here at Crankworx?
Well, as you said, they're like, I fought through torn ligaments and stuff, and you can slap some physio tape everywhere, but you can't really slap some tape on your brain. So the guys here at Crankworx have a really good team, and they guided me through the whole process. And yeah, now I'm just happy that I can be healthy for the next event.
Yeah, for sure. That's what's most important. I mean, the riding level out there, you got to be 100%, or there's no point in even doing it, especially with something as important as your brain. Who you got your money on out there today, Max?
Well, call me biased, but my Swedish friend Emil, obviously. Obviously that, yeah.
That's a smart bet, even if you weren't friends with him. So,
yeah.
So I won't fault you for that, Max. And I also won't fault you for sitting this one out today. Take care of yourself, my man, and we look forward to seeing you back at the next stop.
Yeah, I can't wait to.
Right on. Thank you, Max.
Have a good one.
So, Paul Couderc up and at him now. Good to see him walk out under his own control. Hopefully, he just knocked the wind out of himself or something, but we'll check in with him later to make sure. Hopefully we see him for a second run, but same way we just talked to Max, if it's not right, you know, it's a long season and good to keep yourself healthy. So Dawid Godziek, top of the course, ready to drop in. The score to beat 87. If somebody on this list coming up can beat 87, Dawid Godziek is without a doubt one of them. So he hasn't won a Crankworx Slopestyle yet, but he did win the Red Bull Roof Ride last year. And you know, that's what his sights are set on. He's done it all on the Crankworx World Tour Slopestyle competitions except for win.
And you know he wants to check that box. Let's see what he's got. Big tail whip on the drop in.
Off that flat drop.
Huge twister on the opening set.
That's that headwind. Come on. It's time to start adapting trick plans for that first jump, isn't it? It was pretty calm right then, though.
That tail whip, he might have been a little low.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that happens on a bunny hop tail. You can travel a little bit low, because as you're reaching for the pedals with your feet, the last thing you want to do is come up short. So to be safe, well, sometimes you might end up going a hair long. But I think you're right. I think by the direction of that sock, it might be having an effect on that first jump.
Tail pin off the top drop. You got a pop as well, which is always going to put you a little bit further. I mean, rotation great on that front cork 1080 known as the twister, but as you'll see here, he was a little bit further down the landing than Paul was, but still enough to just completely knock you off your game.
Yeah, you can see how hard he corked off that lip and how high he went. That's why he was having a little bit of a hard time with that forward momentum. So that is something that can be adjusted for, even if the wind is affecting it. So we'll see what he can do coming back on that next run. That's unfortunate to go down on that.
So if you're Emil, you're dropping last and you're seeing what's going on, what are you thinking?
You know, if I don't know, man, if I'm Emil, what am I thinking? It's so hard to put my head in that six in a row place, but you know, I think he knows what he's doing. He knows what he can do. The conditions don't matter. I think he's just focused on his own contest here. He's not really watching the other guys. Yeah,
I would imagine we won't see him change his plan on tricks, but probably just put that much more emphasis on landing perfect, pumping hard, and sneaking a pedal in before that jump. That jump definitely, I don't think it's a coincidence we're seeing people come up short on that. And you know, just like in a surf competition, you know, you compete on the waves that you're given in your heat. So right now, these guys are competing with the speeds changing ever so slightly. And I think it's important to just make sure these riders aren't so in their own head. They're not paying attention to what's going on around them. I think we're going to see people focus on landing perfect off that first feature. So why not look back at Torquato Testa's run? That's the run to beat right now.
Nice, smooth 360 bar spin off there.
He got
that double backflip,
speed.
Unbelievably smooth. No foot cam backflip, not something we see all the time. Straight into that opposite cork 7. And then there's that regular cork 7. Watch this landing. Boom.
So strong run there for Torquato Testa. The cash roll, the tail up on the quarter, all amounting to an 87 in a hot seat position for the Italian.
This contest is about to ramp up. We're only halfway through the run and we've already got an 87 on the board. I think we might see some 90s before the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's 100% for sure, as long as we get these riders land in their run. One rider I'm really rooting for here, just because because of that right there.
Go.
He's such a hype man. He brings such a great energy to this competition. All the riders get behind him because he's rooting everybody on, and he absolutely sends. Griffin Paulson, home territory last year. We were in Silver Star Bike Park. First time we've had a slopestyle there. And look at this, even after crashing on a double backflip no-hander, so fired up. You know, fired up for so many reasons. That he went for it, that the crowd is cheering for him, that he was okay after crashing. And then to finish off the season down in New Zealand, stomps a 360 double tail up, and just watch the reaction of his fellow competitors. You can just tell, this says a lot right here, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the hype is real, and it's definitely infectious. When someone's that stoked on the course, it just automatically gets you stoked up too.
Guys like Griffin, guys like Nicholi, it just creates the atmosphere within the competitors. There's only 14 of them who are even qualified to be here in this competition today, and it's a wild time right now where they all actually get along. You know, we haven't always had that.
Yeah, it's cool. You can see Griffin, he's hyped up. I can't wait to see this energy get unleashed on this course here.
Here we go, Griffin Paulson fired up and dropping in. Bingo!
Front flip on the drop in. Front flip.
Come on. Oh, man.
Just missed the pop a little bit on that second front flip, but a front flip drop in.
Oh, man.
I cannot tell you how difficult that is, because when you're coming around, it is 100% blind.
Not only how blind it is, but the amount of force coming down from a front flip compared to a back flip. If you're not perfect, you get tossed. He was absolutely perfect on that front flip drop.
Yeah, that was incredible. Unfortunately, in that second jump, I don't think the wind affected him on that second jump. It looked like maybe he just under-rotated, missed his pop on that jump.
Totally, that's what I was thinking too. I think it's a snap issue. With the front flip, timing is everything. And I think he was a little late. We'll be able to look at a replay, but I think he was a little late on the snap. But he's gonna ride down the rest of the course. You know what?
Ride it out, forget about the crash. He's so stoked, he's not gonna miss out on an opportunity to ride in front of this crowd.
Plus, like, just keep the blood flowing. You're gonna have a while to wait now. And you can see how the course is running with the addition of wind, which wasn't present during practice.
Yeah, real smart move to get back up there and ride down the course. You know, it's always nice going into your next, oh, huge flare on that quarter pipe, but it's always nice going into the next run knowing your last jump was not a crash.
Yeah, no, for sure, that's such a factor.
Man, what's happening?
This guy always goes for it. You're never gonna see him like...
Run two, baby.
Yeah. If he goes down in a run, it's because he's pushing himself to his absolute limit. You hear him right there, run two, baby.
Yeah, he's already wiped that clean. Let's watch this front flip off this drop in. Watch the back tire, perfect.
Rears back, lunges forward, here we go.
Pop.
It was an up pop rather than a forward pop, and that's something that happens with front flips right there, where you throw your head to the sky rather than your head toward the landing.
I mean, it wasn't just a front flip, it was a front flip bar spin, so that's gonna definitely affect your pop, because you're gonna wanna spin those bars as quick as you can off that lip, and then start to focus and get the rest of that turnaround. So, you know, just getting a little bit misjudged on that maybe.
Also,
he's already ready.
A front flip bar spin, right after you initiate the rotation, you have to go back to your seat with your knees to pinch, and that's not the part of your bike you wanna be on to start that rotation. So if you start your pinch a little bit too early, you will have not started the front flip yet.
Yeah, and when you move back to pinch that seat and spin the bars, you actually open up your circle. So what that does is that's going to slow down your rotation. And then when you get back on, you tuck it back into a small ball like you're doing gymnastics, and it'll spin you right around. But unfortunately, just couldn't get it.
So we've seen some riders not complete their runs. Griffin just did that one for himself and for the fans. But Greg, he's going to probably get a higher score than riders who didn't cross the finish line, right? What are the judges doing with that? Because they have to score every run no matter what.
Well, yes and no. Because he crashed pretty high on the course, that's a pretty major deduction. Even though he did make it down, he didn't really do anything too impressive. So it's definitely going to be a pretty low score, but definitely higher than somebody that just walked back to the top.
So essentially only one landed feature out of 8 here. Makes sense what Greg is saying. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see where the number lands him, because somebody who fell mid-course, and that's as far as they made it, will he score higher than them? And it really matters, too. It doesn't seem like it matters because you're just thinking about the podium, but it matters for points. There's only 14 riders out of a ton more who want to be here. And the points that you can earn at this stop are way more than the points you could earn at, say, a gold event, for example. So it's the long game you got to think about. And somebody who's really good at the long game when it comes to the Crankworx World Tour, a rider who we see competing in more events than just slopestyle, Tomas Lemoine. And when I say competing in different events, not only is he competing, he's winning. Speed and style, just a night ago, he qualified first, so he was the man to beat. You were calling the shots here, Alan.
Yeah, you missed a heck of a race last night. Race contest, I'm not sure what to call it with speed and style, but yeah, Thomas, he had an amazing night. I mean, textbook perfection on everything all night long. His speed was there, his tricks were there. He knew exactly what he needed to do and brought it all the way home.
What a crazy scenario that we've seen play out so many times over the past few years for Tomas Lemoine. He's celebrating a win, whether that be speed and style. It may be pump track sometimes, but he's collecting those points in pursuit of the king of Crankworx overall title, the only rider in slopestyle who actually aims at that target. But this guy has done it all in this sport except for winning a Crankworx stop. Look at this! Ow! Oh my God!
Daniel off the rope with the bar spin straight.
Oh, we've never seen it. Yes!
Into a cash roll. Okay, it's on. It's on. Big front flip on the hip. Oh, he went long.
Come on.
Still on.
Yes!
He's on.
No way!
Gets a tuck, no-hander, 3 to bar spin, a triple combo.
Get it. Get it.
Big tuck, no-handed backflip. Big crank.
Oh.
See what he's going to do on this last jump.
Come on, pull it.
Double.
No! No! So close. Oh, come on.
That was so close.
Come on.
That was a pretty rough slam. He's just sitting there letting it kind of settle.
I mean, what we were just talking about, though, he's still going to score really high for that. He only missed one feature, and we've seen so many crashes today. Look at this. Okay, this is why we were freaking out. Alan, take it.
Pulls up the front wheel and manuals all the way off the edge and pops a bar spin. That doesn't happen in these events. Straight into a huge cashy.
The level of commitment and risk for that manual to bar off the start drop. We've never seen anybody even consider that before.
And then this is where things got tech. Tuck, no-hand at 3. Comes in, throws the bars. You can see his knees go back, pinch that seat. That's that same thing we were talking about earlier. That's how you spin the bars. You actually hold the bike with your knees on the seat. And then he comes in and sends it the other way. Oh, wrong jump there for me, sorry.
This is one of those runs where I'm just like on the edge of my seat the whole time, and all I want him to do is clean it so I get to see what the judges do with that manual to bar off. And we were so close.
Yeah, it's a level of creativity we haven't really seen in slopestyle, I think, probably since Seminuk's half cab in Whistler a few years ago.
Here we go.
Yeah, he came around just a hair under rotated. It looked like maybe he didn't quite spot the landing before his tires hit the ground.
I jumped so hard. Look at that, he's still sitting in 4th, 58.25, crashing on the Showtime booter, missing the quarter pipe. But I mean, we had 9 riders before him, so he could have been 10th. He's 4th, so it's good to see the judges rewarding him. I can't wait to see what they score him if he finishes that run. But look at this. From one French rapper to the next, Tim Bringer at the top of the course knows what he has to do to win this competition, and he has so much in his bag. He can completely do it if he puts it all together. A strong rider. You can tell just by looking at him, he's a big guy. He's got complete control over that bike.
Yeah, the 23-year-old Frenchman, he's fresh. He's looking at this course. He knows what he's got to do.
6'4" on course, Tim Bringer. Backflip, double whip.
Perfect landing into the turn. Here we go. This is going to be a good one. Double flip down the step down. Straight into a double whip on the hip.
I'm feeling that same way again. Come on.
Triple truck driver up into the whale tail. What's he got?
Hold it together, Tim.
Big double truck out.
Come on. Double flip, no-hander.
No-hander, double backflip. Let's see if he can finish this onto the quarter. Big, huge double table air. That was a solid run. He is hyped.
I mean, it's been a bit since we've seen a T to B. It feels good.
Yeah, you see him shaking his head. He knows he got a solid one in there.
A T to B for TB. Oh my God.
You can almost tell.
Ridiculous.
You can almost tell the difference in the way they're breathing at the bottom than they are at the top because of that relief getting that first run in. Well, let's take a look at what he had. Huge double tail whip backflip on that first big double.
Did you see that pedal he snuck in before the Showtime booter?
Yeah, he needed that speed because, you know, when you do those double flips, you load up into that lip so hard to get that rotation going.
He's up toward the front too.
So that was on the step down.
Come on, 2 double flips in this run. One of them, he had no hands on the bars. Look how straight his legs are, just being patient for that bike to come around 2 times.
2 times? We're going all the way around.
Man. I've been like the last couple runs have been so good. Like I can't control myself. I'm like jumping and squeezing. I had surgery on my hand yesterday and I just like shocked the thing. This is like, I don't know. We've got 3 riders left to go, the top riders in the world, and it's already been such a ridiculous show.
Here we come down to that Showtime booter after this whale tail double truck drop in. He's gonna sneak a pedal in and then load up into that lip and snap into this double backflip, no-hander. Unbelievable. And then a nice big double tabletop, huge air on that quarter pipe.
It looked like Morgan Wade mega ramp.
Let's see
what's it gonna be. The score for Tim Bringer, big question mark at the moment. 87 is the score to beat. 92.25. You got a new leader.
There we are. We're into the 90s. The tone has been set.
It has been brought.
I was waiting until that was going to come out. And look at this. They just watched him go straight into first place.
This is like Steph Curry at the buzzer from the half-court line, and then if he were to just walk up into the crowd and start signing autographs, like, does it get any better than a Crankworx festival?
And not to lie, from being an athlete myself, that is one of the best parts about being an athlete, getting to meet the people that are cheering you on.
It's the best thing about being a fan too. I mean, we're gonna bring this show to a whole new country later this year. The Cairns event added to the World Tour. So Australian fans, get excited to see guys like Erik Fedko rolling into your country. Here's a look at his rise in trajectory here. Kicking off, you know, finishing last season with a 9th. He had a bit of a sore ankle going into that, but he still competed and salvaged something. 2nd place, his highest result ever was Silver Star BC last year. And he previously had a ton of 3rd places. So, you know, we were talking about when he's going to crack into 2nd. So now we've switched that into when is he going to stand on the top step of the podium here in the Emil Johansson era. A look at how he's running his front fork travel here on that RockShox Pike DJ. And stiff suspension out here in slopestyle.
Fedko really takes a different approach with this, you know. He looks good, he feels good, his style's there. Let's see what he's got on this course.
All right, I'm really excited for this run here. Erik Fedko on course.
A truck to X up on the first.
Yes, come on,
huge Superman Seacraft backflip on that jump. The wind was not affecting him at all. Double backflip, double barspin backflip. Straight into an Indian 3 textbook style.
Oh, yeah. Oh!
Truck to tail whip. Here we go. Downside oppo whip 3. Flip
oh!
whip. Let's
go.
Oh! Windshield wiper on the final jump.
Yeah!
To a flare. Oh boy. He's pedaling back up to the top. You know he's celebrating after that one. That was an amazing run.
Listen. You know what? I wouldn't want to be a judge right now. We're at that point in the competition.
I wouldn't want to be a judge, but he just put the pressure on our top 2 seeded riders.
Jeez. We still got Nicholi and Emil to go.
Yeah. They're up there. They just watch that whole thing go down, and they know they have to put everything they have out on the course in order to catch up to what most likely his score is going to be.
The run has it all. Not only the tech combos inspired by BMX, but let's 1, 2, 3, pause, please. Look at this, straight as a board, horizontal. Look at this, you could not ask for more extension. Completely horizontal. The execution category is going to be spotless, and the variety category is going to be spotless. This run is exactly what I like to see in a Crankworx slopestyle performance.
Absolute extension right there. There's no way that could have been any bigger. And watch this landing as he comes in. Spots his landing with those eyes. Both tires come in straight at the next jump.
Yeah, everything is building here right now. This is ridiculous. We've seen some triumphs, we've seen some struggles, and we got the top 2 ranked riders coming up next. Look at this, watch him catch the whip. Just tell me if you notice anything. I don't know, what do you think? I don't know.
I think maybe he was thinking about spinning those bars again.
I think he has another run too.
So after that huge run, maybe not all of it's in the tank for Fedko.
But you know what? It's great to have things like that in order to up the ante because he'll still get scored for what that is. And it's just a hint that he has more in the tank. Come on. The 360 windshield wiper, a trick that Emil Johansson brought to the slopestyle scene at the time was unthinkable. Now, Fedko on it. Fedko and Emil riding together so much. Check out their series on Red Bull TV called Raising the Bar. They push each other to this level that they're both on right now. And the big question at the moment, what will the score be for Erik Fedko?
I don't know, what would you call it?
Well, the score to beat is 92.25 from a guy who did a couple double backflips. What's 95? Ow! 0.25 in the lead. Erik Fedko. No way.
Hyped on Stoke, he's ready.
We've got 4.75 points left for Rogatkin and Johansson.
The first thing I heard when his score came up was, ow.
Yeah,
you okay, Cam?
That's okay, I'm fine. Oh. Come on.
Yeah. I know.
This guy lives and breathes this sport. Like the lifestyle he and Emil Johansson live. You have to wake up and be ready to do these tricks every day so that when the pressure is on, they don't practice the way that people practice at the early days of the sport where you saved your tricks for your final run. You do all these tricks in practice so that you're consistent by the time the pressure's on. A new leader with 2 riders to go. 95.25, the new score to beat. We knew it was going to be one of these days when our first run down the hill was an 83.
Yeah, perfectly executed run out of Fedko right there from top to bottom. I didn't see anything wrong with that run.
Not your best ever.
Yeah, I don't know what that camera operator just said, but I think he said, was that your best run ever? I think that's the best run I've ever seen Fedko do. It's the run we've been waiting for out of him for a long, long time. So, Nicholi Rogatkin, speaking of a long, long time, it's been a long, long time since he stood on the top step of the podium since the Emil Johansson era began. We talked to him about it.
You can see the eye of the tiger. This is what Nicholi lives for.
I am so stoked to have the crowds back here in Innsbruck. I mean, as most people know, I'm the type of rider that really gets fueled up and fired up when I see the crowd. And once you get on that start platform for slopestyle, you're kind of like up there above most of the other people, above the mountains, and it's just like this crazy feeling. Yeah, looking forward to getting up there and dropping in and hopefully making the crowd go crazy.
You know, something I didn't think about until hearing his words right there is that all the competitions that he's been getting second in were during the pandemic era where there was a smaller crowd, and this guy fuels off the crowd. Nicholi Rogatkin on course with his eyes on the prize. Oh, Kashi whip! Oh!
Big Pete Rose down the landing. He's going to be okay. Unfortunately, not the run that he wanted on the first round. But you know, we know he can come back. He did it before.
We've seen it before. And this is just classic Nicholi Rogatkin. I mean, this just feels like something we've seen before. He crashes at the top, and then he hikes back up to ride down again. We saw a couple years ago he hiked back up just to finish his run, and he had a crash. So part of me wants to just send him back to the top right now, Nicholi. But you know what? This guy will never not be himself, and he's not going to just walk back to the top of the course. He's going to ride down. Like you said before, Alan, it's nice to know when you drop in for your second run, the last time you were on your bike wasn't when you crashed it. So, oh, geez, come on.
Yeah, I think he's took that off. Okay. I think it's gone now.
A twister.
He's out here he's gonna give this crowd a show. You know, that's what he lives for. These moments. Big casual cash roll, no big deal. You know, it'd be interesting to go back and see that first run. That truck driver, it looked like he landed maybe with his front tire a little bit high.
Yeah.
And that kind of threw off his trajectory into that first jump. And I saw him, which I hadn't seen any of the other riders do, take a couple of really hard cranks before that first big jump. So I don't know if he was planning for the wind or if there was a mistake.
Well, truck driver isn't something we see him do very often on the flat drop. But look at this, going for the cashy whip. This is what he used to win here once before on the last jump. And we've heard him say that this trick is harder than a twister. So much technicality. It's a front court 720, which is basically what Castrol is nicknamed to, but he's squeezing a tail up in there as well. And it's really hard to squeeze out the last little bit of rotation. He's got to get his feet both perfectly on the pedals in order to pull the bike with his feet around the last bit of the rotation.
Yeah, I think I maybe spotted what the problem was on that one, Cam. That's the part you're talking about where you pull it in. It looked like maybe his crank spun and maybe his feet were on the opposite directions on that when he got back on the bike after the tail whip.
So Greg, we're about ready to drop MJ here. And for the judges, what are they going to look for in a run that can go ahead of Erik Fedko?
Well, this is a real tricky part of a contest for a judge because people are starting to land their runs, seen a few crashes, which makes it a little easier on the judges. Obviously, they don't like to see people crash, but they're really going to look for tiny little mistakes, even a pedal stroke in between jumps or a little case or pedal slip. Those things are really going to come into play, especially in second runs.
So Emil, needing a spotless run right here, has the ability to pack a ton into each feature. Obviously, he's in the middle of a 6-win streak here. He won the Triple Crown last year. We asked him if he's got his eyes set on the Triple Crown for this year, and he had this to say.
Do you think you can repeat the Triple Crown? If I think I can repeat it? Yeah. Of course. If I wouldn't have had some sense of thought it would have been possible, it never would have happened. The winning streak I have, it's crazy to look back on, but it's nothing I think about that much, and it's not like I expect to be consistent coming into contests, because I know how difficult it is. There's so many factors to play in, and like people can come up to me and be like, "Oh, it just looks so easy when you go ride," and it's like, well, I wish it felt the same. It's not. It's really high difficulty, and also high risk.
Positive mindset, one foot in front of the other. That's the strategy Emil Johansson uses for success. What's behind me is not important. He's just focusing on each individual feature here. 8 of them to go here on this Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle course. This guy has won on every course, so he can do it again. As he runs through his plan, as he looks at the flags, he's been here before, he has a routine, he knows what he's doing. We've seen him do this before. You'd ideally not want your Red Bull windsock to be as horizontal as Erik Fedko's backflip Superman sea grabs when you drop in for your run. Score to beat, 95.25. And something tells me Emil doesn't even care what the score to beat is, because that doesn't change what he's going to do. He sets out with a plan that he knows will win the contest, and he waits for the moment to execute it. Crazy to think this kid's still just 22 years of age out of Sweden. Here we go. Emil Johansson on course. Nice.
Fast plant, 360 to X up.
Wow, nice.
Spin front flip to no-hander. Let's see what he's got.
Oh!
Windshield wiper on the hip.
What? Come on, get it.
Double downside.
Come on. Oh,
the height and the amplitude he has on these legs.
Oh, what is happening right now?
Arm back, opposite 360.
What is happening?
Opposite 360 double whip.
Okay, the quarter pipe. Oh, he got it!
Tail whip.
Come on!
There's so much technicality in that run, going both directions with tail whips, with 360s, with bar spins.
What he just did was he took the bangers from the final jump of years.
That was unbelievable, bro. Oh my God.
Look at Nicholi. He took those tricks that he used to end his run with, and he did them on the most technical features.
Stepping up every aspect of his run from last year.
I have, when I close my eyes, I see one number right now, and it's 7. Come on! There are so many unexpected moments here.
Fast plant, 360 X up. Into a front flip bar spin to no-hander. Unbelievably smooth. Watch where he lands on this. We saw other riders having trouble with the wind. Not Emil, straight in, both tires at the same time.
No compromise on the extension whatsoever, and this is what he usually finishes his run with. Come on the new step down.
Now this is a regular spin 360, and then he's gonna kick the tail whip the opposite direction twice. I don't even know where to begin how to explain how difficult that actually is, but he's doing it on a hip, mid-run, to complete perfection.
Right when you think you know what the trick is, there's another trick that starts. Like when most riders are putting their feet on the pedals, he's starting another rotation of what he just finished.
And so you can see here, he's spinning the opposite direction, so that's gonna be an opposite bar spin to regular tail whip. So technical.
Opposite 360. So when there's 3 elements there, 2 of them are opposite, 1 of them is regular. There's too many bangers, we didn't even get to the final jump.
Yeah, let's see what this is gonna go.
Oh, come on, 98.
Yes, it did.
98.
Wow.
MJ with a big smile.
There we go.
Wow. Well,
do we know what the highest score in slopestyle history is?
That would be fun to dig up, wouldn't it? Because we're breaking so many records here. Why not actually know them? Maybe some records being broken that we're not even aware of. So all these guys get to take yet another run in pursuit of beating that 98. And I'm a little bit speechless here because he does this to us nonstop. Stomping the opposite 360 double whip. What feature did he do it on? I'm trying to remember. Like, we're gonna have some fun in halftime. So a lot of riders not able to make it to the bottom of the course. So a ton of work to do in run number 2. One thing I can say about the conditions is that they seem to be leveling out and everybody knows what they're getting themselves into right now. The windsock is definitely not fully blowing, and it sure didn't seem to affect Emil there. I liked how he took a beat up at the top, just waiting for that moment.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. You know, another interesting thing here is seeing Fedko in second. You know, this reminds me of a little situation we had when we were in Canada last year, and Fedko decided, you know, that was his hardest run. He pulled what he had to pull. I'm willing to bet he's coming back. He's got his sights set on that 98.
So, plenty to digest here from run number 1 at Crankworx Innsbruck 2022. And if you can believe it, we're gonna get them all back to the top of the course for another run after the break. Stick around.
Pump up your tires for the bike content on Red Bull TV. And check out the best live events, feature films, and shows. Download the Red Bull TV app for free. And sign in to watch all of our content offline. Download the app now. Radical, talented, and full of energy. The most legendary pioneers of extreme mountain biking. They did it wilder and faster than anyone else on the planet. A feature-length documentary about the birth of a sport that nobody wanted. The Moment. Now available on Red Bull TV.
Let's continue to kind of reminisce over some of the iconic moments of Crankworx Innsbruck. Take a look at this.
7 years to win a Crankworx stop. Brett Ritter on course.
We got the flat drop flip whip again. Perfect. We have the front flip bar spin.
It's got it. Come on, hold on. Get the 3 down the left.
Perfect. Upper truck down.
Here we go.
God.
He needs to get this
Bring
back
it home,
flip.
Brett.
Opposite double left. Come on. Oh, he's on the bike. He rode it out. He rode it out. Oh, my.
And showing his butt there a little bit for the girls as well.
Oh, my. How many times are we going to almost fall off of this announcing tower?
Totally.
Jeez.
Out of all the memorable moments from the past 6 years at Crankworx Innsbruck, I think that's the only one that involves nudity.
I think you might be right.
We could change that here if Danny Mac took his shirt off. Danny Mac, welcome, my man.
Thanks for having me.
How's it going, my man?
Yeah, very good to see you.
How you been? Good to see you.
good.
You always kind of show up to these, don't you? You love this sport.
I do indeed. I mean, I don't fancy riding myself. I mean, the stuff that those guys are doing out there today is just mind-blowing, but it's just so good to be back at an event like this with the atmosphere going on like today, so love it.
I know. You screaming your head off?
Definitely, definitely. It's unreal.
Is that why you like watching it? It's the same reason people like watching your viral videos. It's because it's something that they can understand that it's possible for somebody else, but they never imagine doing it for themselves. So you're somebody who blows the minds of others on a regular basis. You come out here to just kind of see what that's like because, you know, be on the other side of it.
I think, I mean, it's a bit of a different thing when it's live. You know, I'm there doing it. I get like to try something 400 times in a row, but you know, these runs have to go down, you know, when they have to go down, and I really feel for all the riders. Like, the nerves are there. I mean, the sort of level of some of the tricks, you're like, is that going to be possible kind of thing to kind of get down to the bottom? So I'm definitely feeling for them, but just so excited to be here. So
yeah, it's definitely cool. You can feel the electricity and that sort of festival atmosphere. You know, even having you here as part of that, having the vendors out here, the things that they're showing, like, we're back. It's happening.
It is happening. I mean, you see it change the way the riders take to the course as well. There's so much more adrenaline in them. I'm curious, Danny, what's it like for you cruising around the venue here? You're a pretty recognizable guy. Are you stopped for autographs on a regular basis or what?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's cool. There's so many kids here that are just stoked on bikes, and you know, it's always nice to kind of sign stuff and do your job. But I mean, I'm here basically on my holidays, and I don't have to do too much apart from watch the event. So yeah, it's class.
I gotta ask you, how many laps do you have on the bike park?
I've actually not been up in the bike park today. I was up in further down the valley, up in Solden over the weekend, doing some shows myself, and got a few laps in there. But I'll maybe get up tomorrow.
Well, we got a full day and a half, so we'll see you up there.
Yeah, be class.
So, Danny, Alan, I got a present for you. Since Emil's run was so packed, we only got like half of it in our replay because there were so many opportunities for slow-mo. Let's go and do the whole thing. Current run to beat right now, 98 is the score for Emil Johansson. We saw this on our initial replay, but here we go. 360 windshield wiper down the step down, 360 bar to double downside whip right into the opposite 360 bar to downside whip. Oh, here we go. This is my favorite part right here. Here we go, the final jump right here. This is the trick he used to win Rotorua at the last stop, even smoother with it now. And after seeing a couple riders throw it away at the bottom of the course, I was just on the edge of my seat hoping that he didn't do the same.
Yeah, a lot of pressure, but it didn't seem to bother him at all. You could see him on that roll, and he had the eye of the tiger, and he knew exactly what he needed to do.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah, what do you make of that, Danny? Just the fact you've been a fan of this sport for a long time, obviously the top of your game in your facet of the sport of bike riding, but we've seen times when the riders are mean mugging each other. They're not hanging out. They're not congratulating each other like this. We're in a pretty cool era, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, the riding these days is just completely mind-blowing. I mean, it's funny hearing you trying to commentate on the tricks that are going down there. I'm like trying to work out myself what's going on. I just don't know how it's possible, to be honest. It's
so,
really, cool.
Fedko and Emil, they ride together a lot, and they were first and second at Silver Star last year. They're sitting first and second right now. What do you think? I mean, Emil's kind of on this level, but do you think Fedko has some more in the tank to knock him out?
I think I heard he had a few more moves to fit in there, so we'll see.
Alan, see if we can break this run down again. I like the variety in Fedko's runs. Like, if you're gonna do a lot of spinny, flippy, bar and whippy tricks like Emil's doing, you have to do what he does. And threw them all different directions and, you know, 4-part combos, etc. So this is a different approach here where you've got some of those tricks like the Superman C-Crab flip, the 360 Indian airs, but being able to now dip into Emil's type of tricks as well and do the 360 windshield wiper. Which ones does he have to do more of to get ahead of Emil?
And, you know, we did see him maybe reaching for an extra bar spin there that he didn't quite get. I think just adding to what he has, because now he's got the confidence on that run. He knows he can do that. So adding little elements to what he's already done, I think, is going to be the key for him. But, man, he looks different. Everything he does, even if he's just standing, it looks different. And for an event where it's judged and we're looking at overall impressions, I think that's one of the reasons why we're really seeing him shine out there.
Well, we've seen him kind of sit out the second run before because he's like, this is all I got. But something tells me the Innsbruck crowd here is going to encourage him and inspire him to really go for it in run number 2. The riders enjoy being here, and there's a lot of stuff you can do outside the course. So we're going to take a look at what Kathy Kuipers does to enjoy her time here in beautiful Innsbruck, Austria.
What a day for a ride.
Danke. Vielen Dank. Super.
Crankworx started by identifying a place that's fun to hang out and, you know, one of the best places for riding. And we've kind of continued that on tour. We only bring this festival to places that are just a blast to hang out at. And it's going to be, you know, kind of nostalgic to roll back to Red Bull Joyride this year, because although Slopestyle has been going on there since 2003, 2011 was a year where Red Bull came in and just really put gas on the fire. They started Red Bull Joyride. We'll be celebrating 10 years of Joyride here in the 2022 season. So there will be a lot to celebrate. Danny, you gonna make it out to Whistler?
I'm hoping so. It's been our first time since 2011. So
no way.
I know.
That's appropriate.
I know, it's a long way to go, but for sure I'll be out there this year, hitting the trails and watching again, so can't wait.
Well, I'm going to try to get this thing ripping so we can take another lap together. We took a lap together here a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
This guy, so you see him on his videos and he's always doing the spinny, twirly stuff, riding backwards on his front wheel. And I'm like, yeah, that's just what he does when the camera's out. We get off the lift and the first thing you do is go backwards and start riding on your front wheel. I'm like, well, that's just every day, I guess.
That's it.
So come join us in Whistler. Watch Danny Mac ride backwards on his front wheel. It's going to be a good time. You'll be there.
Oh, I'll absolutely be there. I'm going early. I'm staying late. We're back. We're able to go to Canada. There's no reason not to be there.
So speaking of 10 years of Red Bull Joyride, let's take a look back in the rearview mirror. Some of our most favorite moments from 10 years of Joyride. Emil Johansson, we saw him rocket ship back to the podium last event after trying so hard to battle illness and get back on tour.
A double truck driver to downside tail whip. It's what 450 step through.
It is official. Emil Johansson has won Red Bull Joyride 2019.
It's been really rough. 10 months off my bike before coming here, and then I feel stronger than I ever been. So yeah, I'm super stoked.
Last chance to secure the triple crown of Crankworx. Backflip bar spin in. Another improvement. Double tail whip.
He gets it! Perfect. Stomping his run. Nicholi Rogatkin goes into the lead and wins the competition and the triple crown of Slopestyle.
I honestly can't believe it. I just want to thank all my boys here for just believing in me, and it's probably the best moment of my life right now.
Readers on course.
Wow, truck driver off that tiny little drop.
He has every weapon in the arsenal.
Opposite fast plant 360 drop. Whoa!
backflip bar spin to opposite heel whip. A backflip tail up on the cannon. Wow, this is a heck of a run, Pat. Into backflip one foot cannon down. Full pull for Brett Reeder.
2016 Joyride champion, Brett Reeder.
This has been a tough one over the years. Not like the other contests. You know, it's steep and there's lots of features and lots of crowd and pressure and yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel amazing.
Here he comes from Squamish. Let's hear it for the local boys. Brandon Semenuk.
Brandon Semenuk starting out opposite truck driver on the start drop. 360 downside whip off the up box.
So over to the snail farm. One more to go for Brandon Semenuk. Can we hear you people?
Coming in so fast. Bar spin in. Cork 720 down. Can he get it? He lands it.
I don't think you can ever have too much experience here. I think I've done it before, but it's still hard every time. So happy. Yeah.
And there's Tomas Lemoine, 18 years old. And if you don't know about this guy, you will very shortly know about this guy.
Oh, do you see how he snapped that front flip? That kid is so comfortable with him, floating up as if he's going into Superman. Double tail whip over the hip.
Shut the front door and runs across the finish, blows out his tire. Oh my gosh, give it up for Tomas Lemoine. Bam!
I was just so happy to get invited at first. Yeah, it's just the best contest of the year, so the best contest, the best riders ever.
So many good memories from that Boneyard Slopestyle course. We talk about the energy of Crankworx that has now been clicked and dragged all over the world since we have a world tour now, but that's the birthplace. That's where it all started, and the energy there is just second to none. Like, if you were on the fence before, you're going. You don't have a choice.
For sure,
You're going.
for sure. I'll be there.
Man. So, we got more moments that are going to make future highlight reels. You don't believe me? I'll prove it. Stick around. 14 of the best riders in the world for their second and final runs. Crankworx Innsbruck 2022. Coming up after the break.
Pump up your tires for the bike content on Red Bull TV. And check out the best live events, feature films, and shows. Download the Red Bull TV app for free. And sign in to watch all of our content offline. Download the app now. Radical, talented, and full of energy. The most legendary pioneers of extreme mountain biking. They did it wilder and faster than anyone else on the planet. A feature-length documentary about the birth of a sport that nobody wanted. The Moment. Now available on Red Bull TV.
Over road number 2 will be going down just a couple of minutes.
Oh, gotta throw out a big thanks to Danny Mac for joining us in the booth. We'll send him back out there to mingle with the fans and enjoy these second runs that will be coming up shortly. And you know, I'm probably more fired up for these second runs than I was for the start of the contest because of how many ridiculous runs we saw come to a screeching halt in the middle. So 98 is the score to beat right now. The riders know what the benchmark is. Let's take another look at it.
The owner of that 98 score is none other than Emil Johansson. Here's how he got it done. Huge front flip bar spin to tuck no-hander. Notice the extension on everything and the height and the direction everything's going. It's unbelievable. It's hard to tell what's opposite and what's not, but he's throwing bar spins, 360s, and tail whips during all at the same time. Some are different directions, some are the other. It's hard to know, but it's amazing.
You know what this reminds me of right now, and I've never thought about this until right now. When you watch a super pipe contest, snowboards and skis, a big factor is how much they pop off the lift because that gives them more time to do these tricks. You need a ton of speed to be able to do that. That's why it's important in snowboarding to land high. But Emil is riding his slopestyle mountain bike like that. He's landing high, generating speed, so he has that much more amplitude. Let's listen.
Yeah. Is there any LEDs up here? Or has that not?
So yeah, I hadn't even thought about that until right now. The fact that he's going that much higher, you know, you said it, and that's what made me think about it, is that's the reason why he's able to squeeze in so many tricks. It would be interesting to take slow-mo shots and actually like figure out how to time how long he's in the air compared to the next rider. The next rider to drop will be Dawid Godziek. We saw his train go screeching off the tracks very early on in his run number 1, second jump to be exact. So we're rooting for him here. We see the flags completely limp, which is exactly what Dawid Godziek wants to see when deciding what the right moment is to drop into this course. Yes, you can, David.
You remember him being in the middle of the pack on round 1. They've re-racked, so he's our first man to go, and he's got something to prove. Big tail whip. Now remember, this is where he had problems on the first run.
Oh, he got the
no-handed twister on that first jump. Here we go. He's got the momentum. Big can-cam flip on that first step down.
Oh, wow. Okay,
nice tire grab 3. Double tail whip.
Oh, we gotta do reverse start out.
Front quick no-hander up the whale tail. What's he got out? Big tuck no-handed 3.
Here we go. Boom, Kashi bar.
Cash roll bar. Into a flare on the quarter pipe, so that quarter pipe is only gonna benefit him with that flare.
A T to B for Dawid Godziek. And I'm actually so stoked to see him throw in some of those style tricks. It caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, what's he doing? And now I realize he's just putting some variety in his run, hanging out some steez moves like that backflip knack on the step down was so extended. He went so long also.
Yeah, a lot of power from top to bottom, all the way down.
So here we go. Landing better off the first drop than the first run. Not only does he get the twister, the front cork 1080, he takes his hands off and lands perfect, top of the landing. That's where he crashed in run number 1. And the 360 tire grab, I was like, he's usually throwing so many big variations. When he did the backflip knack right into 360 tire grab, I thought he was waving the runoff, but then I realized how confidently he's doing it. You know, I'm like, no, he's just savoring this run right here and giving the judges some variety to look at. They got plenty of riders squeezing 4 tricks into 1 run. As soon as he chucked this, I was like, oh, no, he's going for it.
Yeah, straight back into the big tricks after the style points getting collected on that hip. And then here he is on the whale tail, big tuck no-handed front flip in. Watch the back tire, lands right where he needs it to, straight off the step down, tuck no-handed 3 in.
Not a lot of time between landing slightly low on that whale tail. Look, let's see. And this is slow-mo as well. Boom, right into it.
Yeah, you have no time to prepare, so the landing is the most important on that one. And then right here, bar spin cash roll, straight into the quarter pipe with a nice flare. That was an awesome, awesome comeback from that round 1 run.
Can we give some kudos to our drone pilot as well? The fact that we're able to take those shots live. Really high production value here today on Red Bull TV. Crankworx Innsbruck 2020. We just saw a great run from Dawid Godziek. Definitely doing what he needed to do after issues in run number 1, putting down a top to bottom and getting some points out of this Crankworx Innsbruck event. The big question is, where will he find his name on this leaderboard? The judges doing their thing. I'm gonna say he's gonna improve that 8.25. Look at that, a 90.25. Going into 4th place, way to go, Dawid Godziek.
Yeah, you can see David, even his brother Simon up there are very stoked on that score. Well deserved though, that was a clean run.
Yeah. So, Szymon Godziek in 6th, Dawid Godziek in 4th. 2 Godziek brothers in the top 8. It's good to see that again. Dawid Godziek came from the BMX background. Little bro to Szymon Godziek, who was always the mountain bike specialist. Now here they are on the same world stage. Dawid Godziek, a X Games BMX dirt gold medalist. We shouldn't forget to mention that. So this is our start list right here, running them in reverse order based on lowest ranking first to highest ranking last from our first run. Who are you excited to see?
I'm excited to see Nicholi. We saw him come back with a pretty solid run last year after a round 1 mistake. You know, I think he's got that focus. He knows what he needs to do, just clean that first jump up, and I think he's going to be able to keep the momentum going. I think he's got what it takes. It's going to be interesting. And then looking on here, obviously you see Emil, last man to go. Are we going to see another victory run, or is someone going to pressure him into having to send it?
We're going to see those guys early, too, because guys like Nicholi crash on the second jump, so they're going to be dropping quite early. Paul Couderc, the first rider we saw having issues with that second feature on the course, now with another opportunity to fix that mistake, get a ranking and some points out of this event. Here we go, Paul Couderc on course.
Flip dropping, this is where he had the problems last time. Flip, double bar spin, so he makes a change.
Yeah.
It was a double flip that had him last time. Big can-can flip. It looks like maybe he's just trying to get some, oh no, he's not. Big 720. Just when you think they're taking it easy.
Oh!
Double flip!
Yes, we do not see people double flipping that hip jump. Oh, yes! Oh my God!
And he gets the truck to tail whip.
I thought he was throwing it away. No way!
Paul Couderc easing into it, but then he exploded on that second feature and just let it loose all the way to the bottom.
Oh, it's so good. I love to watch these brothers celebrate when he lands his run. And I feel like he did this last year too. Put it all on the pressure of run number 2. Oh man, you know what? That drone angle of that 360 combination on the last jump, what was it, truck to whip? I thought he was throwing it away when the truck driver happened. He was so...
Big flip drop in, taking a couple of pedals, making sure he didn't come up short on that double bar spin backflip. And then this is where he turned it on with this big over-rotated 720 on this hip. So he's actually having to rotate a little more than a 720 to get his tires down and be pointed perfectly at the next jump.
I don't know about you, but sometimes I like seeing the flat 7s as well because everybody's going upside down on their 7s. So it's nice to see a different style on the 720 out of Paul Couderc.
And then this on the hip. Who double flips the hip? Like my man Rogatkin says, one flip on the way up, spot the landing, one flip on the way down, and that's exactly what he did to perfection.
How do you think that's going to score, double flipping that jump that you don't see anybody else double flipping?
It's hard to know. We got our man on the inside down there with the judges. Let's see what he can say.
You count those tiny little mistakes that you see. He overshot the double flip a little bit, had to pedal and just did a bar spin up. But obviously super amazing run, and I hope they judge accordingly on that. But it's just those little mistakes that make that difference.
Makes sense, makes sense. It's so easy for me to just get so fired up on what I saw and forget that there's even something in that run that could be docked a little bit. All right, second run, 85.25 for Paul Couderc, putting him in 6th position. That just goes to show what you have to do to get 6th place these days. Like, that was a phenomenal run, and there's still 5 runs that scored higher.
It just shows you with the level of competition out here, and the judges are needing to be super particular on what it actually takes to get a 98. So that puts perspective into Emil's run and how perfect everything had to be in order to get that.
It really does. So who is going to be our next rider to drop? We get a peek at the top of the course. This looks like Griffin. Griffin Paulson, all right. So Griffin, so fired up on his first run, unfortunately experiencing issues. A rider who is very good under pressure. Positive mindset. Let's see what he can put together. Yes!
There's that front flip drop in again. Big front flip bar to bar, and he does it. Okay, we're on. Let's see what he's got on this hip. Big flip whip.
We are on.
Huge downside double tail whip, getting all the amplitude.
Oh, salvaging a tuck no-hander.
He's into the whale tail.
Truck up. Flip bar out. What's he gonna pull on this last jump?
Griffin Paulson not done. Oh yeah.
360
no pedal
double
slip.
Straight into a flare.
Way to go, Griffin Paulson. That is so good to see. What a run. Okay, so if I were a judge right now, I would obviously be thinking about the slight mistake, but I would also think about the fact that he front flipped the first feature. You don't see anybody else doing that.
Yeah, that's where overall impression is going to help out his score, because that's an impression that no one else is making on the judges, and it's going to stand out. But as you said, he did have that one straight bar, so it's interesting. I was noticing his jersey flapping in the wind, but he was flying straight, so I don't think the wind's affecting him out here.
So this is what took him out of his first run. A front flip double bar spin, so much going on. So much hand dance in there. And I believe this double tail whip was right before. And so we're gonna get a chance to see why he just did that no-hander. I think he had a little bit of speed lost. Oh, a full pedal slip. We didn't see that in the angle during the live run. So the fact that he was able to salvage anything, the fact that he was able to make it over that jump, this is where improv comes into play. All right, what do I gotta do? Push through the jump, chuck the bars to my lap, and do a trick, because that's gonna help compared to just a straight air. Even though it seems insignificant, it'll definitely help.
Yeah, anything helps for sure. It is awesome. You saw him fumbling with that pedal a little bit, and he was able to get over that jump, luckily, and then straight back into his hard tricks. Here we got a truck up into the whale tail, flip bar out, and then this. Big 360 double tail whip.
Transfer far, too.
Right at the quarter pipe. I like that they're doing tricks on the quarter pipe. I like it.
Everybody is. I'd say that those are some of my favorite slopestyle moments as well, is when somebody has an issue and they have to think on the fly and just get something. That shows there's a lot going on between the ears of these 14 competitors out there. Griffin Paulson fired up. 80, good enough for 8th place right now, holding on to those points. Good job, Griffin. We're just used to having drone shots live right now, I guess. Oh!
Yeah, here we go.
Did you know that was coming?
I did, that's why I was holding my breath.
Take a breath, Alan, this is gonna be something. So, Nicholi Rogatkin, the winner of the 2018 Crankworx Slopestyle Triple Crown, hasn't won a contest since Emil started winning, because he's been hoarding all the wins. Emil Johansson top, Nicholi second has been something we've seen a lot past couple seasons. And no big score from Nicholi Rogatkin in run number 1 because of this. Truck driver off the top drop. Then here we go, going for everything, Alan.
Yeah, it goes for that tail whip twister. Tail whip sweat. Oh, tail whip cash roll, yeah, my bad. There's so many tricks, it's hard to tell. But yeah, you know he's gonna be sending it. He wants to get to the bottom. He wants to feel the energy of this crowd.
The big question is he gonna go for the cashy whip? Here we go. All right, we're gonna find out. Nicholi Rogatkin on course, run number 2.
Gets the truck clean, let's see what he's got. And
yes,
he goes for it. Come on, Nicholi.
Yes! Yes, Nicholi.
Come on, Nicholi, it's on.
Yes, get it.
Big front flip no-hander down the center.
Oh, no.
That's the danger of those front flips. They're so blind, and he got bucked off. Let's see, I hope he's okay. Nicholi, one of the riders that wears some of the most protective gear, because he knows he's going 110% every run.
We're letting our amazing Innsbruck medical crew 10-2.
Oh, man. So Nicholi Rogatkin coming up slightly short on the front flip tuck no-hander on the new feature, the dirt-to-dirt step down. We've seen him take heavy falls on this area of the course in the past. Nicholi is a guy who is, as Alan alludes to, the toughest out there. He's smart, he wears a lot of pads, but he's also just ridiculously durable. So hopefully we see Nicholi pop up right now. You know what, it doesn't take much when coming up short on a front flip. If you tag on a back flip, all your momentum is going in the correct way to keep you on your bike, whereas on the front flip, it's the exact opposite. Your bike wants to spit you off, and any excuse it gets, it's going to take it. So, I don't know, 4 inches short right there, decking out back tire on the landing. And, you know, it's a big fall. You don't slide from that one because you don't touch the hill of the landing. You get tossed down to the flat bottom.
Yeah, that was a big one for sure. Another one of those things with front flips and why there's such a high degree of difficulty is when you're actually coming around on a front flip, you're staring at your stomach. You cannot see where you're going. So that 4 inches can sneak up on you, and it's like an ejection seat. You just get tossed.
Yeah, slopestyle is a game of risk versus reward, and if you're new to being a viewer of a slopestyle competition, you may sometimes wonder why front flip variations score so much higher than backflip variations in some instances. It's because of that. Oh, yes! Nicholi Rogatkin up and walking around. So good to see. You know that was a heavy bail when Nicholi actually doesn't pop up immediately.
Yeah, like you said, one of the toughest guys out there. He likes to spend his free time playing hockey.
Yeah,
you know he's tough.
His dad gave me a hockey puck to the crotch once. That voice still hasn't been the same since.
But going back to the beginning of that run, man. Oh, here we go. Here's where he had the problem. The big
almost
tuck
don't want to watch
front
this.
flip. And you can see how his head, oh yeah, straight down to his head and shoulder.
He's wearing that full upper body armor.
If we get another replay of that, you can see when he lands, his tire cases that safety case just a little bit, and then you can see his head kind of shake, so he wasn't even ready for it. He didn't see it coming, and out of nowhere, that ejection seat, it got him.
Everybody has different instincts and reflexes when they know they're about to hit the ground. He went into straight hockey check mode right there. He didn't take it to the head. He went straight to the shoulder, and that's part of his crashing technique, wearing all that upper body armor. It's when we used to have Ryan Nyquist here. He has his own technique. He goes to the knees and he slides with those big, shiny pads. So yeah, as a message to all the kids out there, if you want to pop up after your crash, wear some protective gear.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the beginning of his run too, like he could have held it and he could have rolled the dice, but he rolled the dice.
Nicholi Rogatkin in good hands with our Crankworx Dr. Ewan. And we got our next rider up in the gate. He was one of the first riders we saw earlier on today, Alex Alanko. He was the second to drop today, having to wait quite a while to take his second run since he had a good performance in run number 1.
You can see what he's doing there with those movements. He's visualizing his run. Now's the time to lay it down.
Alex Alanko from Sweden on course. Oh yeah.
Front flip bar spin. Looks like maybe he was looking for a no-hander out, but he's going to continue down with a double truck on that hip. Step down.
Yeah, that's what happened last run. This is the trick. There we go. He gets it opposite. Crankworx 720. Right into the whip to bar.
Backward tail whip up.
Yes! Regular Cork 7 out of the whale tail into a huge
He's going for a fakey landing there on that cash roll.
That looked like he almost could have pulled it.
He was pulling a card out of Torquato Testa's book, but he was also doing that regular Cork 720 on the whale tail, which has, I don't know, a hip-high lip.
Yeah, it's an extreme pop to be able to get that spin and that rotation out of that small of a lip. Unfortunately, the stoke bit him. He just got a little bit too stoked maybe and pulled off that lip on that last one and over-rotated that cash roll.
You see people under-rotate cash rolls on a regular basis, but it's rare to see people over-rotate them. Basically landed at 900.
So here it is opposite. This is where he had the trouble on the first run. You see him cranking his body around. And you see this time he was able to spot the landing and pull the bike in.
A little bit more snap off the lip, wasn't it?
Yeah, he got the full rotation in. And was able to keep going with plenty of speed. Now this is where things get interesting.
So low when he chucked it, wasn't he?
Tail whip to bar spin. Now, what's hard about that trick is the tail whip goes one way and the bar spin goes the other. So to be able to change directions in midair, you have to plan for that. You have to have your weight in the right spot. It is so technical.
The yin and yang of slopestyle maneuvers. So the second run score coming in for Alex Alanko out of Sweden, a 57, good enough for 11th position. Well, he's got to feel good throwing away that 25 1/4 after falling on the 4th feature of the course. Gets a top to bottom.
a course with features this big in a competition this intense, I think getting to the bottom is a win for all of these riders and walking away. And what's super unique is we got 4 stops this year, so they do have a throwaway for the Triple Crown.
That's something to talk about, absolutely. Last year to win the Triple Crown, you had to be undefeated. This year you have a throwaway, good point. Lukas Knopf right now, the German superstar, taking to this Innsbruck course. Can he better his score from run number 1? Oh, you know what he wanted there.
Yeah, let's see what he does. He's got the opportunity to just lay it all on the line, nothing to lose. Triple tailwind.
Yes, he's up in the ante. This is the jump he cased off last run. A little short here, but he holds it together.
Yeah, he fumbled his feet just a little bit on that triple whip.
Just thinking points now.
Yep.
Keep me on tour right here. Yes!
Oh! Huge flip whip to bar. Just going a little long. Usually, you plan to land at the top of the landing, so your rotation is set that way.
Yeah.
But if you go long, you're going to end up over-rotating, and that's what happened to him right there.
That's a crazy feeling when you're just wanting to get your feet on the pedals of that flip whip, but you know you're going to be in the air for way too long, and that backflip rotation just continues. I wasn't expecting the triple right here. I was expecting him to play it a little bit safer. I was stoked to see this.
Now watch his feet when he comes back on. This is the reason why he had that straight jump on the next one. Boom, catch foot straight on, back foot goes on, and then when he bounces, that front foot comes off, and he's got to reset his pedals, get ready for the next jump. And unfortunately, that just took a little bit of his momentum, and he didn't have the confidence to throw anything huge after that.
So similar to what happened to Griffin.
Yeah, coming up short on that next one, but taking the pedals, able to keep his run going.
Too much air.
And you see as he passed the landing and he kept spinning, landed about 10 feet low, and about 20 degrees too much spin, and that's going to kick him off there at the end.
If he wasn't adding the bar spin at the end, he may have been able to catch the bike and counter steer a bit to try to slow down that rotation, but he was trying to squeeze out as many tricks as possible with that amount of air time. So 53.25 slots Lukas Knopf into 12th position. From one Lukas to the next, Lukas Huppert, ready to drop in. So excited for this run based on what we saw in practice. Another one of those riders, similar to Erik Fedko, who's adding some of those extension tricks into his runs, along with the technical combinations.
Double fist pump. He's stoked and ready to go.
Get all the sweat off of those brows right now. You don't want any of that dropping in your eyeballs because you're dropping into the course here, Lukas Huppert. Run number 2.
Double truck drop in. Front flip. Was that 2 bar spins?
Oh, come on. Is he riding still? Yes. It looked like 2 bar spins.
Big flip whip down the step down.
Oh, there it is.
There's that opposite tail whip flip.
Backflip,
Superman. Oh, no way.
Grab, backflip, up in the whale tail, 360 down whip. Regular 3 whip. Here comes the Couderc.
Come on, squeeze it.
Bring it down. Yes, he got it. And a flare on the corner pipe finishes it off.
Oh, man.
That run was on the edge, but he was able to make it all the way to the bottom.
Woo!
He's hyped.
I couldn't move my finger anymore.
He's talking about his hand there. It looks like he made a recovery.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And there's that front flip. It was a double bar spin. Good eye cam.
So, front flip, double bar spin. This is what I really want to talk about here. Look at how he's angling himself off the side of the bike. He's tail whipping opposite, and you usually lean the way you're tail whipping, but because that's a hip, he's almost doing a barrel roll backflip tail whip. So technical.
It reminds me of Jamie Bestwick's flare down whip.
Absolutely.
It looks just like that.
That's something new. The judges don't see that very much. So I want you to comment on not only that backflip opposite tail whip downside, but also, he didn't get full extension on that backflip Superman secret up, but he was going for it on a hip. What are the judges going to do with this?
Well, that's obviously rewarded as a way higher degree of difficulty than on a straight jump and stuff. They're really looking actually at the slow-mo replay right now just to make sure they're getting it all correct. But yeah, that's definitely a rewarding part of his run. The lack of extension on the flip superseder might hurt him a bit, but overall, clean run top to bottom.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm sure they'll reward him.
I agree with Greg. I think that on one hand he's going to
did the best out of my cramp in the hand.
Oh yeah, his finger. See, I'll bet you Ewan fixed his finger. So on one hand he didn't get full extension on that backflip Superman C grab, but you know that is a whole lot more points than if you were to just throw the bars in your lap and get a tuck no-hander. He was upside down with his feet off and his hand on the seat on a jump that's really hard to do that on. So I think they're gonna like it.
Yeah, on that replay we saw, he was actually fumbling his hand on the seat. I know you've done Superman seat grab backflips too. You know what happens when you miss your hand. Here, watch it right here. Watch his hand as he takes it off. He fumbles his seat a little bit.
Area right here.
His seat is
misses.
Yeah, usually that's an immediate eject.
So if he didn't get this, oh, his fingers, like, this is what just saved him right here. He grasps the handlebars just by the tips of his fingers. And without that, you separate from the bike goes flying, you land without finishing a full flip. So to think that the one guy who had to finish his run because his fingers weren't working was the guy whose lifeline was his fingers on his seat upside down mid-flight.
Yeah, currently 13th, and he bumps up all the way to 5th place with an 88.5. Huge run.
Way to go, Lucas Huppert. That is so huge.
So the difficulty of the obstacle he did the trick on made up for full extension a little bit.
Speaking of which, doing a trick on an obstacle that you don't typically see done on that obstacle, Tomas Lemoine back up to the top of the course for his second run. He blew our minds in run number 1. He blew our minds last night when he won speed and style, but in run number 1, he hopped and landed in a manual on the downslope of the roll-in, held that manual all the way off. Is he gonna do it again? Oh!
Lightning does strike twice. I cannot believe he's that comfortable with it. Huge catch, yes. Foot down, but he's good. He's gonna keep this run going.
That won't affect him that much. Come on. Wow, so much courage after what we saw from Nicholi.
Big double 3-whip on that hip.
Wow.
There's that tuck no-hander. Here we go, the whale tail.
This
is where we had trouble on the first run.
He's going for it. Come on, squeeze.
And he gets it.
Yes, Lemoine. Yeah.
Easy air.
Way to stomp that run and completely style it out on the corner to put a stake in it.
You can see the relief coming out of Lemoine right now. He's so hyped to get a top to bottom.
Under pressure, Greg, do you think that's enough to crack into podium position? That was so good.
I think it's gonna be really close up there, and that first maneuver takes such a crazy amount of bike skill and control. I think that's probably the highlight of his run for sure, because no one else is gonna do that. It's so unique, and he cleaned it top to bottom, a little foot dab, but I don't think it's gonna hurt him too much because he regrouped and made it down to the bottom clean. So we'll see. I mean, I would hate to be a judge right now.
We will see. Thank you, Greg. And you know what? When he crashed in his first run, so far down the course, he still scored all right. So that would kind of indicate that they were rewarding him high for the level of commitment and risk on the manual to bar spin off the start feature. I've seen people drop manuals off of big drops like that. And so I have this appreciation for how gnarly that is. But variety in this run too.
Yeah, there's absolute commitment from him on that first trick, no doubt. But we had cash rolls, we had big backflip no-handers.
And style too. I mean, getting into that inward table right there, he knew right there. In the first run, he might have been guessing how hard to pull and how much speed he needed.
Now here we go, let's watch this. The manual from the top all the way off, without touching the front tire, pops and does a bar spin in.
And to gauge your speed, you know, sometimes you're manualing and you start to loop out, so you hit the brake, that'll slow you down. He landed perfectly at the top of the landing of that first feature.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Here we get another look at it. The creativity coming out of Lemoine. You know, he knows the tricks people have, he knows the tricks he has, but he's adding obstacles by manualing from the very beginning.
I just noticed that to start, he needed both feet on the pedals, so he started balancing himself with his hand on the wall.
If we were giving out grades, I think he would get an A+, possibly the smartest man on the course out here today, just watching him operate.
In like writing class, your teacher will like overlook some punctuation errors because you had a more creative story. That's what we're looking at right now. Great creativity, A+. What will the grade be from the judges? They're taking their time on this one for good reason. We're in good hands here with our judging panel. Second run score in for Lemoine, 87.75, slots him into 6th place.
You can see that his fellow competitors giving him props and saying that should have been higher, but you know, that was an awesome thing. And he's opened up a new door now because we got more events with roll-ins.
That's one thing every event has, is a roll-in. So, you know, that just hints at the future as well. Whale tails on-off boxes that don't have kickers down, can you trick up, land in a manual, and hold the manual off, like the one we see in Silver Star? Good stuff there from Tomas Lemoine. From one Tom to the next. That's funny, we got a Lukas to a Lukas, a Tom to a Tom. Coming into this competition from the alternate list, he is so solid this year. He's blowing my mind, both with the magnitude of his tricks, but with technical things like how high he's boosting out of the quarter pipe at the top, at the bottom of the course, I should say. And now another opportunity to impress the judges. He had a great run, good enough for a 76.25 in run number 1. And if I know Tom Isted, I know that he will go for it, knowing that he has another opportunity. He doesn't want to be on the alternate list. He wants to get some points, be on the main list for the next stop. Here he goes, Tom Isted on course.
So he does it, flip dropping in, big double backflip. If he's looking for points, he's going to get them right now. No hand, front flip on the step down. Here we go. Big 3-whip on the other hip, still keeping his speed. Truck up to whale tail. Tuck no hand and backflip off. Come on, Tom, you got this.
Oh, man.
You could see hands in the air before he even came to a stop. He was so close.
So close. He was going for it. I mean, I may have expected a cashy on the last jump, but the twister? Oh, man, he's frustrated.
Yeah, that was a heck of a run, Tom. Oh. So close. And you know he was going to go to the moon on that quarter pipe with all that momentum and excitement.
Oh, no doubt. Nothing held back in this run. Everything down to the extension on his hands, both on that front flip tuck no-hander down the step down and out of the whale tail. Watch his head fling himself around once he catches the pedals.
Spot that landing and bring his bike right in.
The hips, the shoulders, the head.
Yeah, you know Tom was not holding back the entire way down with double flips, corks.
He didn't even take a pedal. Look how long he went.
This is where he slid out.
Oh.
Shot, perfect.
Yeah!
I thought he had it.
And there's that camaraderie from his competitors. Everybody's out here cheering for themselves. Obviously, their favorite is probably themselves, but you know, their second favorite is everybody else. You know, there's no bad blood out here. These guys are pushing each other and they're in it together from top to bottom.
Oh man, I'm on one hand so psyched for him, the level he's on right now, but on the other hand so bummed because that would have been the points he needed right there to just secure himself a spot to the 10-year anniversary of Red Bull Joyride and not have to be relegated to the alternate list. All right, speaking of the alternate list, our second rider who came from the alternate list here, Szymon Godziek, 30 years of age. He's been on tour, he's been off, he's had podiums, and he's back. Dropping in. Oh, yes. Oh,
big nollie 3, he's just able to get around. Front flip bar spin to tuck no-hander.
Where did he find the speed?
Bar spin, backflip, no-hander on the step down.
Wow.
Tail whip to Exa.
Not holding back at all. Truck to tail whip. Opposite 360. Big flip whip straight into the last booter.
Yes!
Superman Knee grab backflip. Amazing run.
Szymon Godziek has so much authority to his riding.
Yeah, not taking that first run score for granted and coming out and really trying to up that score and sending it.
This is why he's always been one of my favorite riders, hands down. Just the way he does those tricks. That's the only word I have for it, is he has authority with his tricks. Creativity and difficulty off the start.
Getting away with one maybe a little bit on that roll-in. Managed to keep his speed. Like you said, where did he get that speed?
I don't know where he found that speed. Watch him when he gets back on the bike and he nestles everything into the nooks and crannies they need to be in so he can just, boom, a couple more points here. 3 whip to X up.
Over-rotating just a hair because that's a hip. Keeping his speed straight off the next jump. He does a truck and then kicks the tail whip.
I mean, a bar to whip score is so high. He's doing it in a 360. That's what's crazy, though, is a 360 bar to whip is so intense. And when you see somebody do it, you're just blown away. And then you remember the run that Emil had. You're just like, oh, my gosh, he did that so many times, all the different directions. But you know what? There is no substitute for a good backflip Superman C-grab. He might have been past horizontal on that one.
Yeah, he got his feet off nice and early, and that's always my favorite look on that trick.
I'm just such a big fan of runs that incorporate some of those extension maneuvers in them. The brothers. The Polish brothers finding common ground with mountain bike slopestyle, competing in the same competition. So cool to see.
Kilka ogórków, ale zajebiście. Jakie ogórki? 3-4 gram. Ale zajebiste to było.
So, big question right now, what's the score going to be for Szymon Godziek's second and final run here at Crankworx Innsbruck 2022? It was perfect. Greg, what's going on? Can you eavesdrop a little bit and kind of be our spy in the judges' tower?
Yeah. I could tell you about Szymon that he's got such a unique style and different tricks than a lot of other riders out there. You know, there's a lot of similar looking rotations and spins and stuff like that. That flip superseder fully extended, if I were a judge, I would reward him pretty high for that. But I think they're still deliberating and just really trying to get him in a good slot right now.
Thanks, bro. I dig it, Greg. Thanks for the insight. I always, when I'm kind of, next morning after a contest, I always kind of look at the results. And, hindsight's 20/20, and I always try to see if I were to, move anybody around, what would I do? And I know that's what they're thinking right now because the numbers matter less than the actual position. So run number 2 scoring 88. He improves by 5 points and moves into 6th position. Those are going to be some valuable points to find himself back on tour. You know what's funny is when Szymon started, due to injuries and other circumstances, getting interested in Red Bull Rampage, he started competing in less slopestyle competitions on the Crankworx World Tour about the same time as his brother started transitioning from BMX to mountain bike. So with that good result here, we're probably going to see them competing on the same course more in the future. Here's the leaderboard as it sits right now, Alan.
Yeah, we see both those Godziek brothers on the top half. We're looking at who's coming next. We got our top 3. So these guys are really going to be looking to aim straight at Emil Johansson's 98. 95.25, a 92.25. We know Fedko and Bringer have more. This is going to be exciting.
So this just in, the Italian rider Torquato Testa is not going to take his second run. He had such a banger in the first run. It sounds like he's happy with that and where he's ranked right now. So I believe the next rider we'll see is Tim Bringer. 92.25 in the first run. I can't wait to see what he tries to pack into this one. He's going to try to improve.
Look how calm he is up there. I know what's coming. How come I'm more nervous than he is?
Isn't that weird? He's got so much control. Once he found himself on the Crankworx World Tour, he's had consistent results at every event he's entered. Currently sitting in podium position, familiar territory, Tim Bringer. Big speed. Huge double tail with backflip. The height on that, the judges are definitely going to score that. No way! Double backflip on the step down. Perfect.
Double tail whip on the hip.
Opposite, spinning towards his front flip.
360 tail whip to bar spin, so he's not settling for third. He wants more. Tuck no-handed backflip. Triple struck out of the whale tail. Double backflip no-hander.
He held it so long.
Keep it together.
Keep it together.
Big
Right.
invert on the quarter pipe. Okay, so he was, worst he could do was a bronze medal.
Oh.
You know he's shooting for higher.
So that's your starting point. Worst case scenario, bronze medal. This guy drops in and executes those difficult maneuvers to such a high degree that on his double backflip, he not only extends the arms all the way, he holds them out. You're upside down with another flip still to be done, and your hands are extended off the bike. That was unlike anything I've ever seen. The double flip on the step down.
Big double tail whip backflip.
Caught early too.
Yeah, he was dialed on that one. And this, the double backflip on the step down, that is so blind.
Deep. He was at like the last bike length and a half of landing space.
And then here's the triple.
Look at him keep those elbows into his waist. Jeez. How many frames were his feet perfectly on the pedal before landing? Triple's gonna really factor into the scores.
And there it is, double backflip, no-hander. Does that first backflip, takes his hands off on the way up, second backflip on the way down.
He held him.
Execution. So much confidence on that.
You go a ground angle so we can really see the amplitude and how flat the table was on the quarter pipe. That was huge. I'm gonna say he's gonna improve his score. Will it move him up in the rankings? A 93.75. He holds on to third place.
But he was able to improve his score, so that's gonna go in his back pocket. He knows that he can do that.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see so much more from Tim Bringer. The next 3 stops of this long 4-stop Crankworx Tour here in 2022. Emil looking cozy up there.
One more bullet to dodge.
Probably the rider he knows the most about. One more rider left to go. Before we either see Emil push to his limits or a victory lap. The only one who can determine what that will be is this guy right here. The German sensation, Erik Fedko, the youngster, 24 years of age, sitting on a 95.25 in run number 1. He is on course. Worst he can do is second place.
Nice truck to X up. That might have been an added X up there.
Okay.
Big Steezy. Okay, so what is he gonna do here? Big backflip bar spin on the step down.
I think this one's for the fans, Alan.
I think you're right.
Yep. Erik Fedko happy with his silver medal here. The second silver medal in his Crankworx Slopestyle career. Well earned.
Yo! So much style out of this kid.
What a day. You not only get to see a banger run out of one of the most stylish guys to ever do it, you get to see a style run as well. So Erik Fedko happy with second place, which means this is insane.
7.
Should we say it?
7.
Should we say it? 7. Let's say it at the same time. 7.
In a row.
That's, I mean,
he can't believe he's shaking his head too.
He's got a gold medal for every day of the week.
Super cool to see Fedko come down on that run. What I always used to say, there ain't nothing wrong with silver.
Oh, yeah. It's a precious medal.
It is.
Wow. Way to go, Erik Fedko. So consistent. I mean, he was sitting in that third place spot for so many years, and now he's got 2 second places. We're going to see him win one of these things one of these days. So we got a gatekeeper. This Emil Johansson is just flexing the dominance. Hasn't lost since he started winning. Take a look back at the best moment from this run, just as extended as in run number 1, 360 Superman C-Grab Indianer. He stops his rear wheel for that trick.
Yeah, he grabs a brake.
I wonder why. Stability?
Could be. But man, the extension on that, his feet were over his head.
Let's see if he stops his rear wheel on every jump. No, we're not going to see that. Look at this, the celebration there. Ewan, Crankworx doctor, helping all these athletes out. It's you know, one thing keeping your bike in order, but so many things to keep in working order with your body to perform at the top level. So it's great to have you out here helping everybody out. We saw him up there celebrating the win there with Emil Johansson. Emil with an opportunity to do one for the crowd here.
And this is it. This is the best feeling as an athlete in a competition, is being able to do a victory run in front of the crowd and just do it for yourself, do it for them, show your appreciation for the moment. This is so special.
I remember when he was riding Red Bull Joyride and performed so well after coming back from his health issues, and Brandon Semenuk, the GOAT, said, you know what, I think this is going to be the next unbeatable guy in the sport of slopestyle mountain biking. And he couldn't have possibly had a more prophetic statement as we celebrate the 7th win in a row for Emil Johansson. This is going to be cool. Did you see that Nollie 3? He's like
Nollie 3, Steezen, just having a good time out here.
Scrub.
Love seeing this.
Oh, this guy's a good mountain biker.
Huge knack.
And let's talk about the fact that this guy also competes at Red Bull Rampage too. Straight up, Suey. Everything's in slow motion.
Poke. This is a nice little look into how these guys ride on a regular basis. This is fun riding for these guys, not training.
So relaxed.
Double tail whip.
So relaxed. Congratulations, Emil Johansson. The crowd going nuts. Fellow riders in support of the domination streak of this young man from Sweden.
It's interesting that comment that you were talking about that Semenuk made. Do you think this is enough to bring him back?
Oh, jeez.
At least once? You know he can do it.
Let's see if he can hit all these jumps in a rally car. I feel like if we put a crazy course together, you know what? That might bring him back.
Let him design it.
I like it. Can that happen, please? Red Bull, can that happen? Wow. What a sport this is, though. I mean, the fact that this sport has produced somebody like this, even if you're not a mountain biker, this is just a fun thing to watch for people who appreciate excellence in sport. And you know, this will help a lot of people view the sport of slopestyle mountain biking as a world-class discipline. Just a ridiculous sport and a fun one to be a fan of, that's for sure.
Absolutely crank.
Congratulations, Emil. You just delivered such an insane show, and I like kind of expect that at this point, but you still blow my mind with what you choose to do, and I'm always curious at what point in the week you had the run set in your mind. Was this on the plane already curated that way, or did it come together throughout the week's worth of practice?
Obviously, it's like something you start thinking about well in advance, but honestly, I didn't really know what to do until I dropped in for my run. I had struggles trying to get that first trick on the drop done in practice, and really wasn't sure if it was worth the shot to do it in my first run, and a lot of tricks I basically took out for the first time in the contest run, so I wasn't too convinced on what I was going to do. I just, yeah, and I'm blown away it worked as well. I don't even know what to say. It's, yeah, just disbelief at this point.
You bring up the first trick, and that's kind of what my next question was going to be. Out of all those tricks, and so many of them are bangers that you've used to finish runs at previous Crankworx winning performances, which one is the one that you viewed as the hardest? Was it the first one off that start drop?
Yes, today was a difficult one. I basically did my first one in practice this morning, so when you're talking about repetition, I have very few of them. So it's obviously this one for today was one of the more tech ones, but that doesn't really say anything more than I just haven't put into practice yet for that trick.
Emil, Alan Cook here, man. Amazing job. I gotta ask you, you know, there was a few guys in front of you that were starting to have troubles on that first big double.
Yeah.
And for you to come in with that trick and all that confidence, were you second guessing it, or were you just totally focused on your run?
Yeah, to be fair, I was second guessing it because I saw a lot of people experiencing issues, and yeah, it's always tough going into contests, not really knowing how the conditions will be. We've been dealing with a lot of soft spots in a couple of the landings, so speed has been very on and off. So to be able to get run top to bottom without casing or overshooting tremendously, I don't think I really did at all in practice. So to do it on the contest front feels pretty good.
I love your mindset, man. It's always fun to pick your brain and hear what went into the curation of these runs. So I got to say, congratulations and thanks for the show, Emil.
Thank you very much.
So another one for the history books out here at Crankworx Innsbruck 2022. We reminisced over so many past moments during this broadcast, and that run right there we'll be reliving for years to come. Plenty to digest when we come back from the break. Don't go away.
It's always a struggle out here. There's a big crowd. You've thought about this contest the whole life.
The bike events everyone talks about.
I'm going for podium for sure.
It's more than just watching any championships.
Let's go! Oh, he stops it! Oh my gosh!
It's about progression, style, spirit, and community.
I don't know if I have to go as fast as I can or if I have to look like I'm fast.
And fast is fun.
360! Bar spin top tower! Here we go, we're off! An incredible ride! Whoa, mother! That was a good one.
Bike on Red Bull TV.
Welcome to the video. This is Erik Fedko, and this is Emil Johansson.
Oh, I've heard about this.
We follow them as they go to different competitions, check out radical bike spots, and lay down dope bangers.
Great.
Some people think that Emil is an alien.
Sounds like being an alien is pretty good.
Holy shit. We hope you enjoy.
Raising the Bar. Now available on Red Bull TV.
Welcome back, Slopestyle fans. Thanks for sticking around. We're actually just still catching our breath right now from the amazing show we're able to witness right now. And what you said to me as soon as we went off camera was, that was a good contest. I mean, that just sums it up.
Yeah, from beginning to end, you know, seeing the riders, you know, that even had struggling a little bit in the first rounds and how they were able to come back. The dominance continues, like, from beginning to end. That was an amazing, amazing contest.
One thing I want to hear your perspective on is, you know, we've had two people win the Triple Crown, and they both won them different ways. What do you think we can expect for this season based on the way it's structured and laid out?
Well, the last couple of seasons, it was, you know, you had to win every event, but now there's actually a throwaway because we have 4 events, adding Australia to the mix. So Nicholi, you know, he's already thinking about Whistler. He's still got the chance to win that Triple Crown. Actually, all of these riders do. So it's really cool to carry the excitement of the Triple Crown into the next round.
Two funny things. Emil won the Triple Crown last year with just a 3-stop tour, so no throwaway. But Nicholi, he's in the same situation as he was the season that he won the Triple Crown because he did not win the first event, so put all the pressure on him. So everybody's still alive for it, but it feels unlikely, doesn't it, based on the dominance streak we're seeing right now from that young Swede?
I mean, yeah, you know, on paper it might be unlikely, but you can see the hunger in the other riders and how they're stepping up, especially, you know, his riding buddy, Fedko. You know, you can see that they're feeding off each other throughout the event, and it's so awesome to see the camaraderie. They're not going against each other, they're lifting each other up, and that's what's so cool to see during these events.
And he's close. You know, you looked at the final leaderboard right now, 95.25 to 98. You know, that's very much within, it's not like a downhill race where somebody won by 8 seconds.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a 95.25 would have won a lot of different slopestyle events over the years.
The entire level has been brought up, but just the guy who's at the top is just that much more on top of the game, and has been for the past 7 events, which is straight up unprecedented. as we work our way through here, we see Nicholi Rogatkin. That's indicative of that all or nothing approach, isn't it?
Yep, first or last, definitely. And then seeing Thomas Stead there just outside of the top 10, I'd have to give him the heartbreak of the event. That last run was so on point, so close to pulling, but just slid out. But, you know, I think he's going to be back no matter what, you know, alternate or not.
So Fedko with that 95.25 to Emil Johansson's 98. Now that we, you know, have the luxury of hindsight, let's take a look back at his first run.
The cleanliness on this run is what really impressed me. Look at the extension on that Superman C-crab flip.
What do you think about the amplitude that he takes as well? Is he on the level of Emil Johansson in terms of just that individual quality of going high above the takeoff?
You know, he's got pop. He's about half the size, but he's got pop for sure. His amplitude is there, and the style and the perfection and the precision that he has is like no one else.
Your feet have to be so perfectly lined up on the pedals to come up just a touch short there on that 360 windshield wiper and not have that force blow your feet off.
Absolutely.
So any other day, that would be the winning run, but something else happened today, and that was just the 7th time we've seen it. We're getting close to double digits of a win streak here. We saw that graphic at the top of the show where the all-time Crankworx win record is 11, held by Brandon Semenuk. He did that over the span of 10 years, a little more than 10 years. This little guy from Sweden has done it now in 3 seasons, I guess. He won Joyride, and then there was the abbreviated season at that from 2020 where he won the only 2 events. Flawless last year, kicking it off on the right foot this year. It's crazy to think that, you know, there was only 2 events in 2020 and he's already got 7.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think, you know, we're looking at one of the most historical streaks in action sports history, really. You know, I look back at different streaks over the years, and names like Dave Mira and Ryan Nyquist come to mind. So, you know, he's definitely putting in the work, and it's paying off. You know, nobody can stop him.
Let's talk about Tim Bringer back on the podium again. When it comes to consistency on the podium, you know, with ignoring that top spot, it's Fedko, it's Bringer. Bringer, after being the Red Bull Rookie of the Year, has just come out and, you know, when you're the Rookie of the Year, you just want to prove that you belong. He just started getting on the podium right away, and he hasn't looked back since.
The intensity of that double flip on the step down is so impressive. But yeah, Tim came in, he gave it everything he had, and he showed up, and he's on the podium for a reason, you know? He's gonna let that momentum roll into the next 3 stops.
Look at this, one little pedal. Did you see that split second there where he pumped the bottom with the landing of the step down whale tail, and then he looked up at the lip to see if he needed a little bit more. He kind of assessed it and went, all right, one more pedal stroke is gonna be what I need.
Yeah, there's so much going on at one time. Even the wind that you're feeling is kind of letting you know the speed you have. And that's another thing that you don't actually see that wind can affect you. Obviously, it can blow you sideways, but it can mess with you mentally. You think you're going at a jump a certain speed, but if you have a tailwind or a headwind, it's not that speed. So being able to calculate those things in a fraction of a second, it's not easy.
That quick, too. That's why these sports are like borderline addictive, because when you can milk so much out of a split second, you think about the tricks they're squeezing in, and you are living those minuscule moments the best you possibly can. And you know, these are also the moments that keep people coming back. There's nothing like standing on the podium of a Crankworx Slopestyle event. Everybody who's going to be standing up there today has done it before. And, you know, they're getting their fix right now.
Absolutely. It's going to be a big party from here on out for the rest of the Crankworx tour.
The amount of work that goes in, you know, it's not just recreation. Oh, I just ride my bike, this and that. They wake up and they know, all right, cool, I'm going to have fun today, but I also have, like, some work to do. I've got a list of things that I need to accomplish today. So I'm, as Emil puts it, putting in the reps. The first trick in his run may not be, you know, on paper the craziest thing compared to all the other tricks that he did, but it's the thing, as he put it, he had the less reps on. So it's the one that gave him the most challenges. And that's kind of, you know, something that is different in the sport now, where I talked about it earlier. It used to just be everybody would practice with straight airs and maybe straight threes and flips and then throw the hammers in the run. They not only do these tricks in practice, they do them at home in practice as many times as possible so that they can just soak up the glory in moments like this.
Yeah, the more times you can pull a trick, the more confident you're going to get on it. The other places you can do it, it's only going to benefit. And you know these guys, at this level, repetition is definitely the thing that they're doing. None of these guys are mailing it in. We heard Emil talking about it, how people say, it looks so easy for him and he's won so many, but these guys are putting in the work.
Talk about repetition, like 7 pull-ups. That's a good little workout. How about 7 Crankworx slopestyle wins? That's repetition.
Yeah, I can maybe do one of those things that you mentioned.
He's just getting his reps in, Just like to win a lot, so I get my reps in and just, get comfortable with it. Time for champagne. Oh yeah, he's getting good at that.
Yep, he's got some techniques. He's been watching F1. He knows how they do it.
The old bonk and pop. Yep. The smell of victory when you unpack your bike bag and it just smells of BO and champagne. You know you had a good trip.
Absolutely.
Third place, Tim Bringer. Erik Fedko with the silver medal and Emil Johansson taking the win. Here's a look at our overall Slopestyle World Championship standings. It'll be pretty fun to see how those standings look at the end of the year. It's a long season still to come. We're gonna head to Whistler. We're gonna head to Cairns, Australia. We'll wrap things up in beautiful Rotorua, New Zealand. What a way to kick off the 2022 Crankworx Slopestyle World Tour. I've been your host, Cam McCall. I gotta thank Alan Cook, Greg Watts for hanging out with me on this broadcast, and most importantly, thank you for watching. We'll see you in Whistler.